Anyway, all I'm saying is I look at this footage, I rolled the tape, I watched it in slow motion, and they trashing you in my local news in Montreal. You're official. Now, La Presse is afraid of Hassan. This is a article. Hassan the name Hassan circulated widely after the 2024 presidential election. Among the Democrats who wondered was the American left didn't have his own Joe Rogan, a hugely popular podcaster. Senate GOP using you to attack Plattner? Yeah, okay, whatever. I'm a Pills Mafia, so I don't know why they're doing that. I'm actually pretty devastated. Rogan had contributed to the Donald Trump victory by rallying their young people, some more politically engaged than others, to his cause. Some Democrats have therefore seen a left-leaning Joe Rogan in SMPK, whose live streaming channel now boasts the 3 million subscribers. Aged 34 and based in Los Angeles, Picard doesn't cast his net as wide as Rogan, limiting most of his appearances to politics. But the tireless influencer reaches a young audience that isn't enthusiastic about Barack Obama's party. This is the one accent that is a tragedy. Please stop. You're hurting people. Why? What do you mean? Why are you shitting on the authentic Quebecois accent? No gaming, called out, limited reach. Yeah. Is le tabarnak, is le Quebecois accent. Okay. Only has made his mission to help the cause of certain Democratic candidates in the run-up to the midterm elections in November. The question now is whether his presence alongside these candidates will contribute to the success or the failure of the Democratic Party. Anger incarnate. His outburst against Barack Obama gives an idea of his style. During an interview with the host of The Late Show, Stephen Colbert, which aired last Tuesday, the former president discussed his wishes regarding the Republican Party. When I was president, people would ask me, what changes would you like to see in Washington? I would answer,
and pussy too.
I would like to have a loyal opposition. I would like the Republican Party that is conservative on some issues, that doesn't agree with me on a lot. Bro, practice with Obama? Okay. I'm not good at it though. I tried. I didn't practice at all. You can probably tell. My accent is dog shit. I'm sorry. Okay. I should have been practicing off stream. I should have been practicing my Obama off stream, but I didn't. And that's why it's fucking doo-doo. Okay. Anyway, believes in the rule of law, the independence of the judiciary, and empirical data and science that doesn't constantly strip the worst in us. The following day, Hassan Piker responded to Barack Obama, I don't want a Republican Party. I want an ineffective, weak, and inept Republican Party, like the Democratic Party is today. I want a Republican Party so thoroughly dominated and publicly humiliated that people would be ashamed to admit they vote Republican. There's no doubt that Hassan Piker expresses the anger of many Democrats, progressives, or leftists. Accused of anti-Semitism. It also embodies another reality, hostility towards Israel. This sentiment is increasingly widespread among Democrats. No less than 60% of American voters, including 80% of Democrats, have an unfavorable opinion of the Jewish state, according to the Pew Research Center poll published early April. However, in Hassan Piker's case, this sentiment stems from an anti-Semitism reflected. Wait, what? This motherfucker sincerely wrote, no, in Piker's case, he's actually a Jew hater. That's crazy. The normal way to write articles like this is to basically state, not outright that I'm anti-Semitic, but I'm receiving accusations of anti-Semitism. Usually people don't just straight up do that unless it's an opinion editorial. I don't know. Is this an op-ed? Oh, he says, according to his critics. Never mind. I didn't finish the sentence. I got so mad. The influencer often complains about being quoted out of context, but he is indeed referred to Orthodox Jews inbred, describe Hamas 1,000 times better than the fascist colonial apartheid state. He also stated that the fucking rapes committed by Hamas during the October 7th massacre did not change the conviction that Israel perpetrated a genocide in the Gaza Strip. Okay, well, at least they put that in context. Hassan Piker denies being anti-Semitic. Amongst defenders like Ezra Klein, an influential Jewish columnist and podcaster for the New York Times, who cited in a recent article influencers' denunciations of anti-Semitism and support for Bernie Sanders and John Ossoff, two Jewish senators, unusual form of Jew hatred, to denounce anti-Semitism and promote Jewish Americans to the presidency, wrote the Times journalist, a red line. But Democratic elected officials and allied organizations remain steadfast. According to them, Democrats should avoid legitimization of Hassan Piker, whose controversial views are not limited to Jews or Israel. The influencer notably stated in 2019 that America got what it deserved on 9/11. No, that's not what I said. Got what it deserved. They're making it seem more crazy. The Democratic Party must draw a red line. Hassan Piker and his anti-Semitic comrades have no place on our side, said Jonathan Cowan, Lily Cohen, president advisor of Century Group Third Way on Wall Street Journal. Did you know the PLO trained Quebecois nationalists in Lebanon? I did, actually. I did know that. So that's kind of messed up.
Jason, it's great to see you.
I mean, this is an article that was probably in French, all right, that they're translating. So that's probably the reason why it's like weirdly translated. Yeah, they urged elected officials, Democratic candidates to refuse to campaign alongside him. Backed by Bernie Sanders, Abdullah Sayed recently invited Hassan Piker to participate in his rallies. Republicans want him to win the Democratic primary on August 4th. They already have circulated a photo on two-minute exchange of fist bump, accompanied by the caption, "America got what it deserved on 9/11." Yeah. What is this? You said that landlords don't pay their employees what they produce. What's your evidence? Is there studies that support your claim? Because companies like Ford, 85% of the revenue goes to their employees' salary. I mean, it sounds like an assumption, not a fact. My point is, I don't feel like all corporations are evil. I'm not against you. Landlords? Okay, corporations aren't evil. I've said this over and over again. The Marxist perspective is not that corporations are evil. The Marxist perspective is that the concept of exploitation, the extraction of surplus labor value from the labor force, is known to the average person that likes corporations as like an extraction of profits. Okay? You get paid less than you actually put in to the job. That's it. That's known as profits. That's how a company maintains profitability. Okay? You think profit is good. But what is this? Hassan the Hunt, Timberwolves fans are going to need you to apologize for slander against our only Nas Reed. Oh, no. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, no, I'm not. I can't deal with NBA Twitter, dude. 2 new posts about Hamawi and Shoykat. Yeah, we got one good poll, one bad poll. Really good internal for Hamawi. The Hasanabi bump is alive and well, very real. Okay. Hamawi, and I'm just joking, it's not me, obviously, but like Adam Hamawi went from being third place at like 5% to an internal poll, which is always going to obviously favor Hamawi. But an internal poll that shows him in the top. Hamawi for New Jersey is out with an internal poll that finds him leading New Jersey 12 splinter Democratic field with 90%, way up from the 5% he received in a prior unreleased poll conducted a month ago. A friendly super PAC spent $1 million in the interim. The New Jersey field's top 4 in the May 5-7 poll is Adam Hamawi at 19%, Sue Altman at 12%, Brad Cohen at 11%, Verlina Reynolds Jackson at 10%. I mean, Adam Hamawi obviously is a stud, and he's gotten tremendous endorsements, Bernie Sanders being one of them. So I do think that, what the fuck? Bro, I'm over here doing election analysis, and this guy goes, fart of the year, please watch. It's like I literally have to laser in on chat all the time. And I see this and I have to watch now. What the fuck do you mean fart of the year? No.
Whatever.
No. How is she not laughing? This gotta be fake. That's gotta be fake. Bro, how is she not perishing? Oh, she steps out of the camera. That's crazy. Bro, that shit blew the horsey's tail away. Hello, Fox News. Yes, we are looking at farting horses. Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. Chatter, you should spam another link about Honduras Gate while we're looking at farting horses. Eventually, I'll cover it. Stop spamming. Okay? Goddamn. That's crazy. We're doing real discourse right now, okay? To think that there's actually an FBI guy watching this. Yeah, to the FBI guy, I have to say this. Bro, you light a match in that area and it's exploding, okay? You got mushroom clouds. Anyway. Okay. Let's get back to it. Anyway, that was the good news. Hamawi is doing really well. He deserves it. Absolute stud. You guys already know. I mean, he literally saved Tammy Duckworth's life. Like, can you be more of a stud? He throws his life on the line. He throws his body actively. He was a combat medic. And he, on top of that, throws his body in the fucking crossfire. Okay? He's been to Gaza. He's worked in not one but two different the active genocide zones. Okay, he's incredible, and you know I'm obviously honored to endorse him. He's fantastic, and I'm glad that New Jersey 12 is seeing that as well. So that's the good poll. The bad poll is California's 11th congressional district jungle primary. Top two vote getters advance in November. You got Scott Wiener, who's lost a little bit of sauce. He went from 43 to like 38. Connie Chan has picked up some steam at 22%, and Shoykat Chakrabarti at 21% in third position, following Connie closely. Now, initially, some of the polls showed Shoykat having a much bigger bump, a much bigger lead on Connie, which was good because, like, the hope is at this point to have it go to the general and have Shoykat be the guy, and then the local organizations end up reluctantly endorsing him, even though he doesn't have any. A lot of the left has been like, nope, what you did to Dean Preston is unbelievable. We are always going to consider you to be a carpetbagger and outsider, even though he's not. Like, he is just as much from San Francisco as, like, you know, Scott Wiener is. Scott Wiener is just more involved in local politics because he's a recognizable figure in California politics in general. But what did he do? I mean, he's just rich. And the left in San Francisco understandably fucking hate tech bros. And he's technically a rich tech bro. He's just a rich tech bro with very good. He's a rich tech bro with very radical views. He is a rich tech bro with very radical views, but the local left organizations despise him because he's made local donations that are against the San Francisco left. Because a couple years prior, I don't know if you guys remember, but San Francisco had like a growing leftist movement. Okay. Is he pro crypto and fintechs? No, he's not. He's not like that at all. Anyway, listen. He's fucked up and now he's paying the price. Oh, East Bay elitist. Yeah, I hate this shit. I hate this argument. He's fucked up and he's paying the price. Okay, dude, then have a worse person overall as your fucking congressional representative. Like, this is an unbelievably silly way to approach the issue. And luckily, I've talked to a lot of people in some of these movements, and you know, they don't have this like attitude of vindictiveness in general. That's what they think people grow. He undermined a DSA comptroller. No, it's not. No one gives a fuck about. Okay. Yes, people do give a fuck about that because the entirety of the DSA, San Francisco worked very hard on the Preston campaign, and he was great, to be fair. But in San Francisco, there's two things, okay, that people treat like the Sunni Shia split. I've talked about this before: the NIMBYism versus YIMBYism. Okay, you will never understand it. San Francisco is like its own internal local politics system where you're either a NIMBY or you're a YIMBY. It's the Bloods and Crips. It's the Sunni versus Shia. As a matter of fact, I think Pax Islamica could happen. The entire Ummah could unite before the NIMBYs and YIMBYs can arrive at like a reasonable fucking conclusion on what to do with housing. Okay? And it's interesting because YIMBYism versus NIMBYism transcends beyond political ideology. People will tell you People will tell you that that's not the case, but it fucking absolutely is. NIMBYs, not in my backyard, can either be people who are very defensive about new development projects because they believe that there's already existing inventory and the goal should be the decommodification of housing, very leftist point of view, or they can be Steph Curry, who thinks if we build any sort of shelter, any sort of homeless shelter in our neighborhood, then poor drug addicts are going to be in our neighborhood and our property values are going to go down. So it's both ultra left and ultra right. Same with YIMBYs. Some YIMBYs are libertarians who think the only way to solve the housing crisis is by letting real estate developers basically build shanty towns on top of your head and charge you an arm and a leg, which is the ultra right-wing YIMBY position. And then other YIMBYs are like, we have to literally build out a robust housing inventory to tackle the housing market prices, which is the urbanist, somewhat center-left position on the issue, which I also agree with. I don't have an issue with that sentiment. I do agree we need to build more housing. I, of course, want to build social housing, publicly funded housing. Sometimes I think the armchair urbanists get mad at me for that perspective, even though I'm unbelievably autistic about public transit and all the other shit that they care about. So they should love me. But the moment I bring up public housing, they go, wait a minute, that's communism. I don't know about that. Anyway, that's why I said it's like kind of a wash on that. But ultimately, YIMBYism versus NIMBYism is religion in San Francisco because San Francisco's housing market is dog shit, okay? And San Francisco has priced out so many people and pushed them away from San Francisco, people that have lived there for years and years, decades. And that's the reason why they're just very mad. See, San Francisco has no more room for housing, says East Bay elitist. Well, YIMBYs would disagree with you. They want to upzone, which, NIMBYs would say will destroy the culture of San Francisco. Right? Anyway, wait, these people had no issues voting for Nancy Pelosi in every election? See, that's the other side of the story. Nancy Pelosi is a towering figure in American politics, and it's mostly liberal. San Francisco's actual voter base is not even fucking leftists anyway. It's actually rich liberals. So if you have any sort of like crossover appeal with a guy like Shoykot, who is like getting flamed by the local left organizations, who actually has, in my opinion, really good national politics, and would be a fantastic congressperson, one of the best congresspersons that we would have in this, incoming round in the midterms. He would be amazing. He'd be infinitely better than Scott Wiener and definitely better than Connie Chan as well. It's not SF County. It's the whole region law from Santa Cruz County to Sonoma County. San Francisco is one small part of the problem. I mean, it's also the most densely packed, the most populated part of the problem, right? In any case, yeah, San Francisco is literally the incubator of the titans of California politics. And it has always given us dog shit politicians, Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, and Nancy Pelosi. Okay, these are all San Francisco politicians. We have an opportunity to change that. Okay, we have an opportunity to make a real fucking national impact. But I can't get DSA and all the San Francisco leftists to listen to me. Even fans of mine that are, normally very open-minded to the things I have to say. And Dianne Feinstein, that too. Oh, my God. So, YIMBYism versus NIMBYism is a bullshit framing, and fuck you. I detest the false dichotomy. You and the Democratic Party paint in blue city states. There's not a real question of development because they only care to ask what developers get paid. There's no YIMBYism with privatized options that direct pay out the rich people to run slums. See, look. You can be a lifelong fan like Nasty Chasty, 41-month subscriber. The moment that I fucking bring up the distinctions between YIMBYism and NIMBYism, I don't even like establish a position, right? I say the downsides of both, okay? Immediately, this guy goes, I want to kill you. I want to kill you with a gun, okay? How fucking dare you paint this dichotomy, you fucking piece of shit. Yimbyism versus NIMBYism is a bullshit framing. Fuck that and fuck you. Do you understand? It's actually insane. Like most normal people, when they encounter this concept, they lose their fucking minds. It's an issue that is very near and dear to many San Francisco people, okay? And I understand it because the San Francisco housing market is life or death. You did not disavow, see? That's why. That's why. I have to like disavow NIMBYism or YIMBYism, one of the two. Do you disagree? Oh, real fucking cute. Putting death threats in my mouth now. How hypocritical. Man, I'm fucking joking. Calm down. You're the one who's freaking out. I'm the one who's fucking joking. You're literally proving the joke that I was making. Be a little bit more lighthearted, please. Jesus Christ, chatter. Calm down. I'm going to take you off the screen because I don't want people to fucking yell at you either. Calm down, man. Chill out. I guess you weren't joking. This is life or death for these people. Yes, they take this shit to the death. Like this is a core part of the politics of San Francisco. They lose their fucking minds when you bring it up. Even if you don't assume a position, even if you say here are the downsides and upsides of both ideologies, here's how both of these movements can be both right wing and left wing. Even if you're just descriptive, they go, nope. You have to disavow whichever one it is. Brazen Truanon said he doesn't even recognize the San Francisco he grew up in anymore. So much displacement and gentrification. Exactly. That is absolutely true. Like the San Francisco left also despises, understandably, a lot of the tech companies as well, where they're just like, you know, I mean, I would too. But in many respects, it's been, obviously a massive fucking revenue boon for the entire state. So it's like unshakable. Their dominance in the city is untouchable, unfortunately, and they're doing a metric ton of evil as well. In any case, that's a big part of the reason why people fucking hate Shoykot on the San Francisco left, because he's funded a lot of candidates that are in the national front. Obviously, he's funded a lot of candidates that are unbelievably left, but in San Francisco, he's funded due to, I guess, NIMBYism, YIMBYism distinctions, funded candidates that subscribe to his housing policies closer. I don't know why the fuck he's done it. I don't really care that much, to be honest, but people do. And that's the reason why they're like, no, we'd rather vote for Connie Chen, even though Connie Chen is like a pretty cookie cutter, inoffensive, somewhat progressive Mallory McMorrow style candidate in this particular race. Perhaps a little bit more trustworthy than Mallory McMorrow is. I'll say that. But like, I mean, there's a reason why Adam Schiff has also endorsed Connie Chen, right? And Nancy Pelosi is entertaining an endorsement of Connie Chen. With Nancy Pelosi, it's a little bit more personal. I think she just despises Scott Wiener because Scott Wiener has been very ambitious and has entertained potentially taking over Nancy Pelosi's seat while Nancy Pelosi was still in the seat. So I think she just holds a personal grudge against Scott Wiener. But yes, Wiener, lol, I know. God damn it, dude. Y'all are fucking babies. I swear to God, we can't have a normal conversation at all. But that's just the situation in San Francisco. I really like Shoykot as a national politician. I can't speak to his donations at the local level. It's kind of weird that people don't look at the policy at all. They just think that it's like, Shoykot is like fake radical, I guess, but he's been fake radical since 2015 or 2014, if that's the case, right? And they also despise the fact that he's like, he's a rich guy coming into the race and like funding his own campaign. He spent a shit ton of money on his own campaign. But obviously just spending a shit ton of money on your campaign doesn't necessarily matter for a lot of people. And now CNN is writing about him too. CNN is, and it's not just CNN, it's Edward Isaac Dover. This is the anti-Bernie hit job guy, okay? Edward Isaac Dover is an op of not only myself, but the entire leftist movement. And they're sending out heavy hitters. This is like CNN's hatchet guy against the left. So when he's in the cut, just understand that there are a lot of people in corporate media that are paying close attention to a lot of these primary races because they want to make sure that the Democratic Party doesn't become a left party in any way, shape, or form. That's precisely what's going on here. Okay? David Dayan, my goat from The Prospect, writes, I was in San Francisco a couple weeks ago covering one of the more fascinating House races in the country, CA11, held by retiring Nancy Pelosi. The race is a simple narrative, but the reality is more complex. The frontrunner, Scott Wiener, gets pigeonholed as an abundance centrist for his work on housing, but he contains multitudes fighting power in tech and healthcare while benefiting from wealthy super PACs. Okay, this is the top line, and we can go through it piece by piece. Wiener and former AOC Chief of Staff Shoykat Chakrabarti are the only two who get noticed in national stories, but a third candidate has most local and labor endorsement as an outlined path to make the runoff. San Francisco Supervisor Connie Chen. San Francisco Supervisor Connie Chen was literally brought in to this race by the local left, okay? That's the reason why they're so mad that I'm backing Shoykat, even though I'm obviously unbelievably aligned with all the fucking labor unions and, DSA San Francisco, and they are all, some of them are, in this community right now, probably frustrated, white knuckling through this process because on the one hand, they're like, I've been watching you and supporting you for 10 years. But also on the other hand, I really despise the tech CEOs and you are actively trying to get me to vote for a tech a tech guy, not a CEO, but like a centimillionaire tech guy. How dare you fucking do this? So they're going to ban you from the city. Yeah, sure. It won't be the first city that I get banned from. All right. Chakrabarti has inspired a lot of grassroots volunteers knocking on 364,000 doors already, and he's trying to inspire a new kind of politics, but there's a bit of a style dynamic here. Shoykat is self-funding. I've thought about this quite a bit. On the one hand, it's ridiculous if you're Shoykat Chakrabarti and a centimillionaire and you don't self-fund your campaign, but I think self-funding your campaign makes voters, it's off-putting to voters, I think. Like, I genuinely think even if you're a centimillionaire, you should probably run a publicly funded campaign rather than self-funded because I think it's an automatic L. Voter perception is obviously really negative, especially in the Democratic primaries. I think voter perception is very negative on wealthy self-financed campaigns. Even Tom Steyer, I think, is having a really hard time with it. These guys are nowhere near Michael Bloomberg level, obviously. They're, they might be even, I don't know who's wealthier, Bloomberg or Steyer. It doesn't really matter to me, but I'm saying like their policies couldn't be further apart from one another. But when you are trying to actively court the left and you're an incredibly wealthy person, I think it probably is better, even from a messaging side, for you to not self-finance your campaign, even if you have the money to self-finance it, because it kind of looks like you're just a rich guy who wants to make a name for themselves or something. On the Republican side, it makes sense. Hey, Hasanabi, unfollowing today. Kendrick is a colorist who supports white supremacy and supports Israel. That's corny. Wait, what? This guy. What? Kendrick is a colorist? Why are you, what? Anyway, the other side of this story is like, if you don't self-finance, then people are obviously going to say, or do the shady donation shit that everyone else does. When you're an actual leftist, being wealthy is a crime. Bloomberg is on the right, which is, of course, allowed. You just have to filter through shell companies or whatever. Yeah, I think if you self-finance openly like this, or if you don't self-finance, then people are going to say you're an incredibly rich guy. Why the fuck would you not self-finance, right? Like that's going to be the main point of contention. So I don't know what the best method is here, but I do think that this is frustrating. I do think that it's frustrating for a lot of folks. I mean, I myself, I've known Shoykot. I've known of Shoykot for a decade, right? He's worked with a lot of people that I also work with, that I care about. Like, I trust him. But even then, it was hard for me to get on board initially. I had to talk to a lot of people that have known him for years, right? To initially get on board with him, because, you know, he is a centimillionaire. He did work at Stripe. He was like one of the original engineers at Stripe, and he made a fuck ton of money off of that. And automatically, my first reaction to that is always, I don't know, is this guy legit? So I even understand that initial skepticism. In any case, I do think that his politics are far closer to mine than Connie Chen's are. That's it. In any other circumstance, I wouldn't even be paying attention to this race if it wasn't the fact that, you know, Shoykot Chakrabarti is involved, because I don't think Connie Chen has the juice to actually take on Scott Wiener in any way, shape, or form. And it's really funny because, like, people will be like, "Whoa, Shoykot is an outsider." He's not, right? He's just a rich guy trying to buy his way into power. Okay, well, Scott Wiener is a fucking slave to corporations. Like, he literally is such an unbelievable, servile creature to corporate interests that the SEIU had to unendorse him because he couldn't even fucking get on board with taxing the billionaires. Okay? The SEIU did a double endorsement here with Connie Chen and Scott Wiener. They had to take back their endorsement of Scott Wiener because he literally would not subscribe to the billionaire tax. That's it. So it's very frustrating. And Connie Chen is certainly a lot better than Scott Wiener on the issue of Israel, but still nowhere near as good as Shoykot is. Connie Chen is doing the same, like, oh, I'm actually very critical of Israel route that every other Democrat is currently trying to do. Okay? That's it. That's it. That's all she's doing. And it's enough, I guess, for a lot of people. And, you know, I agree with your criticisms against Scott Wiener, but Shoykot publicly supported a horrible Mayor Lurie. How could anyone call themselves progressive and support Daniel Lurie? Yeah, I don't know the level of his involvement in the Lurie campaign. I think you guys are, I think local politics is the reason why a lot of, like I said, San Francisco left is yeah, Daniel Lurie is a monster, by the way. But that's the major reasons. There's also a lot of misinformation about what he's done as well. Like, people go to like unbelievable lengths to just be like, this guy Shoykot is a fucking evil deity. But only sending one more time, not spamming New York Times investigation into Israel's influence over Eurovision for soft power. Yes, I know. I'm aware of this article. I saw it already. And it's also something that we've covered extensively on the broadcast, even before this article was written. So, yeah, I'll talk about that. So, I'm reluctantly rooting for Shoykot, but doesn't Shoykot deserve critique for this stuff too? It goes both ways. No, I agree. What do you mean? I'm telling you the process in which I work through my initial skepticism. I'm saying that these are understandable reasons to be skeptical, okay? But if you look at his policy platform, it's the most comprehensive policy platform out of any national candidacy. Out of any national candidates that I've endorsed, he has the most comprehensive policy platform, partially because he literally has operated a fucking think tank for years that is like a left-wing, radical left-wing think tank that writes policy papers, including shit like the Green New Deal, okay? That's the reason why I'm saying, like, it's an unbelievable missed opportunity not to fucking try to get a guy like that in office. That's why it's so crazy. And I went through this process and like vetted him through a lot of people that have worked with him directly and indirectly before I even got on board with endorsing him. Like, a lot more thorough with my background checks than any other candidate. You know, Oliver Larkin comes in and I'm like, you're great. I love what you have to say. Let's go. Because he has the organizational backing that I already appreciate. Same with Chris Rabb, right? Same with Hamawi. These are people that have like done things that I already know. They have the background that is trustworthy. Malak Kiros, great example, right? Whereas Shoykot has a lot of great things in his career that he's done, where he's aided and abetted the institutional left in many respects, but certainly not like aligned with the DSA in a lot of instances, even if he has endorsed and backed and promoted DSA candidates over and over again all around the country. Yo, I'm not huge on the politics. The country gets too divided on it, but how much is it starting to cost to fill up my truck just to make it to and from work so I can pay my house payment is getting ridiculous. Yeah, brother, that's because Donald Trump decided to be a servile little dog to the nation state of Israel and fucking blow up an Iranian school and kill the entire leadership and triggered the events in motion that Iran understandably took action in retaliation and closed the Strait of Hormuz. So now the entire globe's energy markets are in a state of disarray. This isn't just Trump. He's just a symptom. Yes, Trump is a symptom of the problem for sure, but he also is unique in some ways in his spectacular fuck-ups. Let's be real. But now that you are paying attention, you're at the right place. This is where I explain to you exactly how these events came about. I try to do my very best to explain to you, how we arrived at Donald Trump and how we can fix the problem. Everybody starts doing politics all of a sudden when politics starts doing you. And politics is always doing you, even if you don't do politics. You just start recognizing that they're inserting it in when you go to the gas pump and you're like, why the fuck am I paying $500 to fill up a tank of gas? What the fuck is this shit? You feel me? Or that you were conned into buying the truck. Your figurehead on the new Pan-Africanism is deafening. Wait, what? Macron said, we are the true Pan-Africanists. We believe that Africa is a continent and that this continent has an enormous amount to build. It's the youngest in the world and therefore has an extraordinary demographic dividend. It's the one with the greatest. Oh my God. Are you fucking kidding me? I can't think of a worse person to say that than the French president, dude. That's insane. Saying that as French government leadership in Africa about the continent of Africa is insane. Like, it's like, yeah, the Belgian king, second to the Belgian king coming out and being like, well, as the king of Belgium, I really believe that we will work tirelessly to develop Africa. We are the true Pan-Africanists. That movement is entirely, that movement in large parts is about fighting against French control. That's crazy. Yeah, it's like the Clintons being like, we are the true liberators of Haiti. Yeah. Well, I'll do more. I'll get into this a little bit further, but I really obviously trust David Dane's work. He is a California guy, born and bred, and obviously he is the guy for policy at the American Prospect. So he wrote this like long 23-minute article, long and comprehensive. Okay. And the top line is he went to San Francisco to check out CA-11. He gives a pretty solid, pretty honest shake, pretty fair shake to all the candidates. Talks about Wiener's work on housing legislation in California, who has won him support from the abundance faction that's often at odds with progressives focused on the relentless influence of corporate power. But Wiener is also carrying one of the main bills in the state legislature this year to prevent anti-competitive conduct from big tech. Passed legislation in 2024 to crack down on pharmacy benefit manager middlemen, and endorsed the bipartisan housing bill that some abundance types have opposed. He even expressed discomfort with investor purchase of housing. The more we move towards mass mega ownership, you really do get into situations where you have Wall Street pressures that end up screwing renters, Wiener says. The humanity is immediately stripped out. Most national commentary on the 11-candidate field has focused on Weiner and Shroykat Chakrabarti, the progressive co-founder of Justice Democrats, who wants to generate a bottom-up political revolution among a restless population dissatisfied with the status quo. Yet Connie Chen, a San Francisco County supervisor, has picked up many of the state's and local endorsements you would expect from a progressive leader. California Teachers Association, National Nurses United, the State Working Families Party, San Francisco Labor Council, California Federation of Labor Unions, the Harvey Milk LGBT Democratic Club. She believes her focus on bread and butter issues and support among cities' large Asian American population can pay off. And while the race has been described as a test between experience and rhetoric, between workhorses and show horses, another factor is the obvious but too often overlooked question of big money. Weiner has cryptocurrency mogul running a super PAC on his behalf, and Chakrabarti is drawing on his own fortune gained from being an early career employer at Stripe. Sometimes in a brawl between the two flavors of big money, a less tainted challenger can sneak through. Much of Weiner's legislative record has been mainstream progressive stuff: public transit funding, criminal justice reform, public health access, immigration protections, phase out of single-use plastics, childcare expansion, caps on out-of-cost for insulin, bans on surprise ER billing, and a number of LGBT rights bills. He wrote the law requiring federal officers like ICE operating in the state to remove masks. When a judge tossed it out because it didn't also apply to the state officials at the request of Governor Gavin Newsom, Weiner reintroduced it with the state ban. Also, Scott Weiner, on the other hand, has been unbelievably pro-Israel. After October 7, he visited the state of Israel and went on stage with the president of the state of Israel, and has also written a bill that is anti-Palestinian advocacy in schools. Closer to home, Weiner has been enmeshed in a number of controversies involving big money. Labor union SEIU unendorsed him for his opposition to a local measure on the ballot in June called the overpaid CEO tax, which would increase taxes on businesses whose CEOs paid more than 100 times the median earnings for their employees. Fantastic. SEIU threw their endorsement to Chan. They had double endorsed Chan and Weiner, but they pulled the Weiner endorsement. So now Chan has the SEIU endorsement. Now, local labor union endorsements, they can be meaningful, but just remember, they also, in the case with Connie Chan, I think it's because they trust her more. Okay? Oh my God. Pulled the Weiner endorsement. Oh my God. Pulled the Weiner. God damn it, dude. I'm done. I'm fucking done. I'm done. Hello. We can't keep doing this. Please stop. I shouldn't have started off with the fucking fart video. I set the stage for my own demise. Anyway, November arguing for a one-time tax on ongoing budget hole in this case created by the Trump administration cuts to Medicaid isn't practical. He's elsewhere endorsed taxing the rich by reversing the Bush and Trump tax cuts. Weiner has billionaires in his corner, including Trump donors. Chris Larson, CEO of blockchain company Ripple, a major Trump inauguration donor, has given $100,000 to an outside super PAC called Abundant Future, which has thus far spent about $500,000 attacking Chakrabarti. Y Combinator's Gary Tan is also a donor to that PAC. Chakrabarti has also highlighted dozens of corporate PACs who have donated to Weiner over his state legislative career. None of them have given to his congressional campaign, where Weiner is rejecting corporate PAC money. And some have criticized Chakrabarti for supporting tech-friendly moderates in San Francisco before running for office. In response, Weiner said that Chakrabarti listed about 30 corporate donations out of his 10,000 donors across campaigns of the last decade plus. You can go around when you have no track record and cherry-pick donations, he said. My lifetime Chamber of Commerce score is 16%. My lifetime California Labor Fed score is 97%. My League of Conservation Voters score is 97 and 98%. I have one of the most pro-labor, pro-environment, pro-consumer records in the entire legislature. She also, going back to the situation between, this is like obviously the super PAC dynamic at play here. And it is interesting that they don't hit Connie Chen. They hit fucking Chakrabarti quite a bit. Connie Chen gets very little negative ad spend right now. And all of these like billionaire-backed corporate PACs and super PACs are fucking up Shoykat's ass. And yet the San Francisco left doesn't understand why they're doing that. If you find yourself in alignment because you don't trust Shroykat Chakrabarti, but when you find yourself in alignment with some of the worst villains that you fucking hate, and if those villains that you think Shroykat Chakrabarti is a part of are literally spending $500,000 on the guy to eviscerate his chances, maybe you understand that he might actually be a real one. Perhaps that's the reason why they're spending $500,000 in the primary already. Okay? Judge me by my enemies doesn't just work for me. It works for the likes of Shoykat Chakrabarti as well. Okay? So if you're a part of the institutional left in San Francisco, just pay a little bit of attention to the amount of money that Gary Tan and all these other guys that you think Shoykat Chakrabarti is a part of, this movement that he's a part of, why are they fucking up his ass? Okay? It's literally it's not dissimilar to Tom Steyer even. Tom Steyer's a fucking billionaire and he's self-funding his goddamn campaign and every single big money interest is attacking him. Think. I am a serious person. I'm 42, consider myself pretty mature, but I can't help myself but to laugh with that last name. No way. Okay, it's fine. Wiener and former AOC Chief of Staff Shoykat Chakrabarti are the only two who get noticed in national stories, but the third candidate has the most local and labor endorsements. We already covered that. So some see Chan as a more authentic voice in the city's left in the race. She also has mainstream support. Pelosi hasn't endorsed, but Senator Adam Schiff, a key Pelosi ally, has endorsed her. Pelosi's attended a bunch of her campaign stops, by the way. Pelosi has a personal distaste for Scott Wiener. She does not like Wiener because of what I just explained earlier. She has like a personal vendetta against Wiener because Wiener wanted to unseat Pelosi when she was in office, and I think that's carried over some resentment. But getting that message out takes money. As of most recent campaign finance disclosure, she's lagging far behind her opponents in fundraising. And while Labor and the Asian vote are strong factions, they are only fragments in the electorate. Can she succeed? That's the reason why they hit me with the anti-Asian ray, okay? That's why. Remember when I, for the first time ever, received a line of attack that I have never received before? RNC went in, dug up clips from like 2020 when I was shitting on some pro-Trump old Vietnamese lady who was like, you have to vote for Donald Trump because Joe Biden is a communist and Donald Trump is an anti-communist. Okay. Shoykat is also Asian, but he's not, Connie Chen is from Hong Kong. Okay. But if you remember, San Francisco has a massive Asian community, a Chinese community specifically. You literally just went to the Gold Gala law. I know. Which is why it's really funny. I've never heard the Hasana's anti-Asian attacks before in my entire life until this fucking San Francisco race. Okay? The line of attack I usually receive is I'm too pro-China, which is actually in San Francisco one of the only places in the country where having a let's not wage war with China message is actually literally fucking seen as a positive. In every other district, you come across like a crazy person. What do you mean we shouldn't fucking nuke China? What the hell are you talking about? San Francisco is the one place where that message is actually a positive one, and they're still calling me anti-Asian, bro. Yeah, it's like saying I'm fucking Islamophobic. You know what I mean? It's like national media and the RNC coming out with attack ads saying that I'm fucking Islamophobic to make sure that like a Dearborn candidate that I'm endorsing doesn't fucking get the appropriate looks. Anyway, they do know Turkey is in Asia, right? Yeah, it doesn't matter. That doesn't work that way. Okay, that's not a real thing. I'm not AAPI by American standards just because I'm fucking Turkish. Okay, I'm white. Anyway, only in San Francisco someone like me can run for Congress, she insisted. We ran in 2020 and 2024, won both times, running against candidates supported by billionaires in the PACs. I have that same optimism and attitude. At the kickoff, she put it more clearly to the crowd. When you send Connie Chan to Congress, you're sending all working people. Chakrabarti has inspired a lot of grassroots volunteers, knocking on 364,000 doors already, and he's trying to inspire a new kind of politics, but there's a bit of a Steyer dynamic here. Shoykat is self-funding. For decades now, we basically have had this ideology running the country where profit alone drives the economy. We can't do anything about that. He told me on the sidelines of the canvassing kickoff. People keep voting for anybody running on sweeping economic change. They just know this is not cutting it. We need something dramatically different. Like everyone in the race, Chakrabarti wants to ameliorate the cost of living crisis and tackle official corruption in Washington and campaigns. They're just trying to buy votes to run our government, he said of super PACs tagging him. But his campaign is largely powered by his fortune made as a tech engineer. About 93% of his $5 million campaign haul is self-funded. Weiner, in our discussion, emphasized that public financing system for elections should include limits on, or bans on self-funding. I don't disagree, and I don't even think Troikot would disagree. I mean, it's a really terrible system right now, right? Responded Chakrabarty, who mentioned that he has more individual small dollar donors on his campaign, about 10,000, than all of his opponents combined. I could either do the thing Scott Weiner is doing and spend a lot of time calling big donors for money, and frankly, they wouldn't donate to me because my politics is going in there and taxing them and changing the party, or I can put my own money in, and then I do have the freedom to do things like talk about controlling AI and taking on the crypto industry. He said that he endorses full public financing of elections. 2 of the 3 will make the November runoff, so the primary won't settle in. The race is about offering something new to voters, delivering on promises, standing up for working people, and fighting control of politics by the wealthy and the powerful. And, of course, the San Francisco left, which doesn't understand that their votes and their voices are marginal in the broader scheme of things, are not sold on Troikot Chakrabarty because of his his local decisions that he's made. Okay, they're not looking at the broader picture. I'm sorry, that's just the way I see it. It's understandable to exercise a level of healthy skepticism towards Troikot Chakrabarty, given his centimillionaire status, or even his previous endorsements or previous donations to local candidates. But the idea that you think he is not a real force for left, a positive change in the party, is unbelievably silly. And the reason why I say it's unbelievably silly is because I don't even have any smoke for Connie Chen, by the way. I want to make that very clear. I think Connie Chen is a very blanket, cookie cutter, center-left politician, okay? And the reason why I say this is because I judge her off of her decisions. Like I said, Israel is not the only thing that matters, obviously, despite what my naysayers might claim, but Israel's a very good litmus test, okay? And it's clear that she does not have her own personal opinions on a lot of the things that she speaks on, and is simply speaking for what she thinks is the broadest subsect of voters. She has smoke for you, repeating attacks on you. I don't care. She's trying to win. She's trying to get to second place, chatter. That's the reason why she's doing that, okay? That's why. Yes, she said I'm anti-Asian. It's ridiculous. She doesn't know who the fuck I am. Of course she's going to literally take any opportunity she can to attack Troikot, because right now the race is between Troikot and Connie. They're trying to win the second place slot, okay? Yes, that is indicative of what kind of politician she is. Certainly. She's the kind of politician, just like Mallory McMorrow, that will get those talking points and will go, great, I'll just repeat them verbatim. Okay? She's doing the McMorrow, but using anti-Asian instead of anti-Jewish, chat. Exactly. That's it. She has seen a line of attack. She doesn't think she doesn't think anything of me. She doesn't know who I am. It's understandable. I don't expect her to know who the fuck I am, even though it does seem like there's a lot of people in California politics who do know who the fuck I am, apparently. I didn't even realize this until recently. But the reason why she's doing that is because she wants second place, and she knows, or she thinks, this is a good way to to eat away at Troikot's chances, because her pathway to second place right now goes through the Asian vote in San Francisco. And in spite Troikot also being Asian, it's the Chinese vote specifically, like the Chinese American vote. And that's the reason why she's going for personal attacks, because like, if you look at the policy prescriptions, if you look at like the motivating ideological foundations for these two different candidates, Troikot Chakrabarty and Connie Chen, there is a clear distinction between them. That's why I'm choosing to endorse and back. I just noticed State Dem Party has your face on a dartboard given their behavior and fervor against you. I'm sure. I mean, it makes sense if your job is to preserve your control, your ideological control, and therefore corporate control over the party. I'm fucking public enemy number one. Of course I'm public enemy number one. Like, I'm going around the goddamn country trying to prop up insurgent campaigns in the Democratic Party primaries to try and forcibly change the fucking party's attitude towards placing the interests of profits over the interests of the population. So yeah, of course, people that want to keep their jobs, the consultant class that have made, unbelievable lumps of money by being this corporate backed by delivering this corporate back messaging over and over again, are doing everything in their power to stop the bleeding within the party. If it doesn't happen in this cycle, and it's only beginning in this cycle, it will certainly happen in the next. Okay? And they know that. I know that. It's over. It's done. It will be done. There's a lot of institutional Dems that despise what I'm doing because it threatens their status. They either have to tell their donors to fuck off and completely reinvent themselves, which is going to make them look hypocritical in the short term, especially, and maybe even put them at odds, put them in contentious races unnecessarily. No one wants to fight a fucking primary battle before they get to the general against, like, a Republican. Obviously, in San Francisco, there is no such thing. It doesn't matter. These are all just Democrats running pretty much in the top with any viability. So anyway, that's what's going on here. Why didn't Shoykot do anything political earlier? See, this is what I mean. Look at this. Thank God y'all can't vote here. Why is Shoykot running here and not in LA? Make him your congressperson then. Shoykot's local political decisions have doomed him. It's political choices he made against local leftists here. Yeah, in spite of all of that, he's still actually defeating Connie Chen in second place. Why didn't Shoykot do anything political earlier is a stupid statement. I'm sorry, you're fucking stupid if you think that he hasn't done anything political earlier. What the fuck are you talking about? Do you think San Francisco is the only place in the United States of America? Is that what you think? The fuck are you talking about? He worked on the Bernie campaign. Then he was he started the Justice Democrats, and he literally was AOC's fucking campaign manager or chief of staff. Sorry. The fuck are you talking about? They co-authored the Green New Deal. What are you saying? Didn't do enough. The fuck were you doing in 2014, 2015, 2016? Jorking your fucking peanuts. That's what you were doing. The fuck? Don't ask someone from San Francisco those questions. I know San Francisco people, understandably, are thinking about it with just San Francisco in mind. Why didn't Shoykot work in local politics first? Is something that a lot of San Francisco people think. Unfortunately, I know they do that. I know they think that. Well, Scott did, so go fucking vote for him then, or vote for Connie, whatever. It's just, it's an understandable, real grudge. You want to know why it's an understandable, real grudge? And I have a lot of sympathy for it. Because the tech demons literally eviscerated the left movement that was building in San Francisco. There was a time when you had a pretty progressive DA. There was a time when there was Dean Preston. There was an opportunity to actually elect left leaders in San Francisco. And an organized national media backed by all of these tech Silicon Valley demons destroyed it. And big tech completely owns San Francisco now. And they say, weirdly enough, they look at Shoykot and they go, well, he's a tech guy and he's a centimillionaire, so he's just the same guy. He's just like Gary Tan. He is a Y Combinator guy. He's even done podcasts with these fucking dipshits. And it's really interesting because those fucking demons are spending a good deal amount of money, a lot more money, trying to make sure Shoykot doesn't get to second place than they are on fucking Connie Chen. So you have to, at some point, realize maybe he's not like those guys, right? That's the point I'm making. Think. Why? Why are all the fucking tech bros attacking him endlessly? If he's a tech bro and he's just the same kind of demon as these other fucking tech bros, why are they spending millions of dollars by way of super PACs against him and not against Connie Chan? Think. This direction, duh. Yeah, okay. Think, Mark. Think. Look what they need to do to mimic a fraction of our power. Anyway, what will you do after 1,000 years? Anyway. Do you understand, though? Do you understand why I'm so fucking passionate about this? It's also really stupid when people are like, oh, Shoykot must be paying him. Bitch, I'm rich too. The fuck are you talking about? When have I ever taken any money from any political movement or any political group? I'm the one who funds them. Dumbass. The fuck? You take $6 from me every month? Yeah, I mean, obviously. The Hasanabi broadcast, the Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you, the people, for you, the people. This is where it, that's it. That's why my only source of revenue. I'm a proud DSA member for Scott Wiener. Hashtag let 1,000 wieners bloom. Okay. So, the last piece of the puzzle is Edward Isaac Dover, the anti-Bernie hitman, who also wrote a piece. Democrats' internal fights sway the race to succeed Nancy Pelosi in San Francisco. So this campaign is getting this race is getting more national attention now. The last time the city's voters had someone other than Nancy Pelosi represented in Congress, there were no self-driving taxis on the streets, no AI ads competing for space around the tie-dye shops in Haight-Ashbury. The youngest San Franciscans could have voted then are nearing retirement age now. I'm not sure what came first, Pelosi or San Francisco, California Governor Gavin Newsom said. Now, with just a few weeks to go in the first round of the race to replace Pelosi, an iconic center of liberalism, one that sits almost fully within one congressional district, is trying to figure out what comes next. As the Democratic Party churns over what makes it progressive and what kind of fighters its base wants, how to tackle affordability, or even whether to use the word genocide about Gaza, those fights are coming to a head in the city that Pelosi represented in the U.S. House since 1987. The fuck is this? Okay. Hassan in his prime. Damn, I was a child, dude. This is like my first years in California. And yes, that's a real dunk, by the way. Hasn't dunked since. No, I was able to dunk again last year. I did that now. My knees would explode. True. Anyway, candidates and their advisors admit that though they've been preparing for this moment for years, they're still struggling to figure it out. They're building outreach programs, blah, 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 great highway. Pelosi had long been quiet about the race, but has become more explicit about her potential preference with time running out before June 2nd. Pelosi has appeared at events with Connie Chan, member of San Francisco Board of Supervisors, has spoken positively about what Chan could do in Congress. Still, a spokesperson for the former speaker points back to a November statement after she announced her retirement that she did not plan to endorse. For her seat to be open is wild for the city. Mayor Dan Lurie told CNN, sitting in the office in City Hall, he won by ousting fellow Democrat in the 2024 race that became its own referendum on whether traditional Democratic governance had failed the city. I don't think we even know quite what to make of it. Okay. Scott Wiener has been preparing to make something of it for years. Raised in New Jersey, Wiener lived nearly for 30 years in the Castro, one of the nation's most prominent gay neighborhoods. He started as a lawyer and then made his way into the LGBTQ political activist board of supervisors, San Francisco's equivalent to a city council, to represent a state Senate district that overlaps almost entirely with Pelosi's House district. That's the reason why he has unbelievable name recognition. He's been there for the longest time. And that's the reason why he's like putting up insane numbers of like 43% or whatever, now down to 38. Wiener's years of preparations to follow Pelosi were about as subtle as chonkers and oversized seas line. Oh, God, Edward. God damn it. Just fucking write, man. Just write. Don't do this. Don't just fucking write what you're gonna write, okay? Wiener acknowledged that a relationship that started out strong had become a little bit strained as he made it clear that he was going to run for her seat this year before her announced retirement, that he wouldn't step aside for her daughter, Christine, now running for Wiener's state Senate seat. That is what it is. Do you see how fucking petty these tyrants are, by the way? Like, Nancy Pelosi just fucking hates Scott Wiener for that reason alone, because she probably wanted her daughter to take over the fucking lineage, okay? They want to do dynastic politics. This is a democracy. What the fuck are we talking about? Wiener's the kind of local politician constantly popping up at events, back and forth. Yes, in his district in Sacramento, Newsom, who's staying neutral, calls him a bit of a legend up here in terms of his ability to carry bills. One-time rival and now endorser Raphael Mendelman. The reason why Newsom won't fucking openly endorse Wiener is because he's scared of Pelosi, for the record. I mean, you guys don't understand, I don't think. Nancy Pelosi is a towering force in Democratic Party politics, okay? Her experience and her power, her influence goes far beyond the district, okay? Understand this. That there is a reason why people are genuinely worried about like endorsing against her, for example. Yeah, one of the only competent Democrats, for better or often for worse. Newsom, who's staying neutral, calls him a bit of a legend. One-time rival now endorses Raphael Mendelman, called him a transit superhero for his work to stop the Muni Fair Dodgers. But as Mendelman noted in an interview after, there are times when what some see as Wiener's relentlessness comes off as stridency. Wiener gave a practice response to CNN about critics calling him too close to developers, saying developers are the people who build housing, which he says is a pragmatic approach to fighting one of the city's core crises. He says being called establishment means that he has been in office for years, but saying he's been challenging convention all that time. That experience could be especially important in Pelosi's wake, Wiener says, including by fighting for infrastructure money and bringing to Washington the kind of leading role he has had on the state's AI regulations with a Bay Area mentality. People may not know all the details, but they generally understand that Nancy has delivered in a huge way for San Francisco. I'd go so far as to say maybe even AOC's reluctance to endorse might be a Nancy Pelosi thing. Partially. That's the level of fucking influence that she has. Bro, Nancy Pelosi from a hospital bed in Germany was able to overthrow AOC's AOC's pick for head of oversight committee, okay? Which she gave to, and she wasn't even in the party at the point. I mean, she wasn't the speaker, obviously, at the point. But she gave that to her other friend by way of seniority, who died shortly after. Anyway, someone Wiener has, Chakrabarty makes a point of saying that he doesn't take money from corporate real estate or AI interests, but that's largely due to his self-financing from the millions he made during his first stint as tech founding engineer of the financial service company Stripe. Now, is that the real reason? Or do you think the reason is because of his fucking platform? What corporate PAC would spend for Shoykat Chakrabarty when they are busy spending against Shoykat Chakrabarty? Like, they're literally spending against him. His campaign has developed a custom of offering full-time living wage jobs to anyone who's offered to be a committed volunteer, giving him a sprawling office in a former bank filled with payroll of upward 200 field organizers, door knockers, and phone bankers. Yeah. Only this would be spun in a negative, by the way, that he is unbelievably wealthy and therefore has the capacity to pay fucking full-time staff, but that's a bad thing. Instead of penny pinching, instead of fucking running an aesthetic operation and refusing to pay his fucking volunteers, he's literally paying them. What do you want? Like, he is running the most ethical way that he possibly could, and they're using that. They're spinning it as a negative. He has lent his campaign $4.8 million so far, according to campaign finance records. Chakrabarty spent more per district voter than billionaire Tom Steyer spending per voter statewide in the governor's race. Chakrabarty's pegged much of his campaign to his connection to a politician from the other side of the country, Ocasio-Cortez. He was her campaign manager and first chief of staff, and claims credit for a sizable chunk of her early success, including, he says, authoring the Green New Deal. At one forum, he referenced a time when I was in Congress. Chakrabarty said he's also inspired by how U.S. Representative Ro Khanna of California whipped up media attention on Jeffrey Epstein to help get a nearly unanimous vote for the bill, calling for the release of the Justice Department files on convicted sex offenders. You can pick those fights. And by picking those fights, you build power outside of D.C., Chakrabarty told CNN. And when you use that lever of power outside as leverage on the inside to get stuff done. And that's sort of what I saw AOC do in her first term. What Chakrabarty tends to leave out is why he stopped working for AOC after only about 7 months in what has become a minor obsession in San Francisco political circles, inspired a car that follows him to some events with a sign reading AOC fired Shoykat. Chakrabarty became infamous for tweeting attacks on Ocasio-Cortez's new House colleagues, including scoffing at those who called Pelosi a legislative mastermind. One person, yeah. Does that sound good or bad? Does that sound like the energy that we need right now? Or does that sound like a guy who is too hot-headed too invested in the corporate Democrat wing of the party, like the fucking Gary Tans of the world? What do we think, guys? Perhaps these are the types of reasons why I like him. Have you thought about that? One person familiar with what happens to the freshman congresswoman struggled with whether to fire him, but accepted his resignation when he offered. Chakrabarty told CNN it was a planned transition out from before the tweets because he had a daughter on the way, but did not dispute that she accepted his resignation. Chakrabarty is conspicuously lacking endorsement from his former boss. The same person familiar with what happened said Ocasio-Cortez wasn't pleased to find out from media reports that Chakrabarty was running instead of from him directly. He confirmed to CNN that he hadn't told her in advance, explaining that he initially entered the race to challenge Pelosi before she announced her retirement, and that I didn't want her to be in a weird spot where she's asked about, someone stepping up against Nancy Pelosi. A spokesperson for Ocasio-Cortez did not respond to several requests for comment about the circumstances of Chakrabarty's departure or why she isn't backing him. Asked last month by a reporter from Drop Site News why she wasn't backing him, she spoke about the role she's trying to play more broadly in primaries and never mentioned his name. Beyond Ocasio-Cortez directly, Chakrabarty says he's channeling the spirit of the work he did with the group Justice Democrats to support her in her first race to create his own network of like-minded House candidates around the country. Just last week, he had half a dozen of these candidates fly in from around the country to join his rally, headlined by Hassan Piker, the streamer who's become a focal point of the Democratic fights over his criticism of Israel. Piker's been criticized for saying U.S. deserved 9/11, a comment he has since regretted making, and saying Hamas was 1,000 times better than Israel, a comment I do not regret making, a comment that I think is 100% true. Anyway, while Chakrabarty says he's often trying to localize the national issues on his mind, for example, saying the high cost of living in the city could be tackled by getting universal health care or money being spent in the war in Iran should be redirected to fixing the highways and public transit, several prominent San Francisco politicians told CNN that he remains so unknown that they were unsure how to pronounce his name. Tell them that my name is pronounced Shoykot, and they should learn that. They can ask me. I'm very friendly about it, he said. And then we have Connie Chan. Chan is not running so much to change the party as to recenter on its roots. Born in Hong Kong, raised in Taiwan, she talks about so-called sanctuary city protections and other work for immigrants, and she refers constantly to the union support she's racked up. This is a moment for us to decide. Is it going to someone like me who's been a first-generation immigrant and Chinese-American woman and has been endorsed by the working people, the labor movement, or are they going to go with a corporate Democrat that have been bankrolled by a billionaire or a tech bro that has been helicoptered into San Francisco, Chan told CNN on Wednesday after one of the candidates' community forums in the Woody Hills at Randall Museum. Notice how Shoykot doesn't really attack Connie Chan, by the way, but Connie Chan is fucking daggering Shoykot. Is Lazan pronouncing it right? Yes, dude. Yes. I am pronouncing it right. Yes. Chan said on stage that San Francisco will always be the conscience of the nation and the conscience of Washington, D.C. To her, that means beating back the money-supporting Wiener and the money Shoykot is spending on his own campaign. Edward Isaac Dover, and you will see this. You will see this not just with Edward Isaac Dover, who is a hatchet man for corporate Democrats anyway, but you will see this attitude a lot more frequently in the upcoming primary season, where these guys that would normally directly lean into guys like Scott Wiener will find themselves leaning into at least the more moderate progressive forces in these primaries, Mallory McMorrow as opposed to Haley Stevens, for example, when they realize that the establishment wing in these races have no fucking way of getting out the primaries. Well, I guess in this case, Scott Wiener does have a pretty solid lead on everyone else. But I promise you that they're doing that because they're like anybody but the insurgent wing, okay? Anybody but the anti-Israel guys, anybody but the anti-corporate finance guys, anybody but the people that will center the working class in their policies, in their legislative agenda, in their ideology, okay? Straight up. It's already happening. They will always go for like war nights. Or however, in certain instances, if there is no, progressive center, Elizabeth Warren will endorse Graham Plattner like she did. Anyway. But for Chan, the bigger factor in the race may lie in a joke she made at the candidate forum. The biggest challenge I face is if I'm elected, I'm not Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi. According to an ally who spoke anonymously to share her thinking, Pelosi's hyper aware of San Francisco's lost a number of prominent female representatives in the recent years, including going from both senators being women from the Bay Area to having both senators be men from Los Angeles. Wiener and Chakrabarty are also both announced their campaigns against Pelosi before a retirement announcement. Plus, Pelosi likes Chan and sees a kindred political player in the kind of coalition she's building. It's no accident, according to the ally who spoke to CNN, that Pelosi has been showing up at some of the events as Chan, including popping by a DC fundraiser for her last month with plans to do more. And Chan is already in the endorsement of Adam Schiff. How is this not a fucking way bigger red flag for goddamn San Francisco progressives than anything else? I will never understand it. Okay? This is the reddest of flags, and not the good kind of red flag. We're not talking about the Communist Party of China's flag or the People's Republic of China. We're talking about a different type of red flag, a bad one. Okay? I didn't even see the first time. What did he say? He said W rape tone. Ew. Kyle just posted this 7 minutes ago. Video's not available anymore. They're fueled by their grudge rather than anything else. No, it's not just like a petty grudge. Okay? This is not just a petty grudge. Obviously, if you don't know the guy and you hear that he is like a fucking tech bro with hundreds of millions of dollars, and you've seen like the only way to figure out what he is about is by looking at his like national ambitions, what he has done at the national level, okay? And also the local ones. The problem with a lot of San Francisco voters is they are dialing in on the local and not looking at anything else. And as a matter of fact, they don't even care about anything else. They're only looking at the local, which is fine. I think it's okay to look at, obviously, his endorsements or his funding initiatives in local races. Of course, it's fucking understandable. Of course, it's important to look at, just like his background, okay? But they don't comprehend what it means that both of his opponents, Connie Chen and Scott Wiener, are either directly getting funding by massive corporate PACs or massive, AI, not AI, sorry, like I think it's crypto for Scott Wiener, if I'm not mistaken, and real estate developers who is uncomfortably close to, or in the case of Connie Chen, the institutional Democratic Party in California that has sold us down the river time and time again. And all of these major super PACs are spending against Shoykot. So make that fucking calculation. Be smart. What do you think is going on here? Why do you think they're doing that? The two top vote getters in this race will go all the way to November, and Pelosi's much likely to endorse then. If Chakrabarty is one of the candidates, that could make it more likely that she endorses the other. Yes, Pelosi will. The way I see it is, in the best possible scenario, Shoykot makes it in the top two over Connie Chen, and everybody buries the hatchet, and the San Francisco left works to prop up Shoykot. To be clear, to chat, the local DSA hasn't endorsed anyone. Not is DSA the only leftist Oregon town in a place like San Francisco? Yes, this is also true. I think between Connie and Shoykot, and I'll be very serious about this, I'll be sincere about this, I think Shoykot has a better shot at defeating Wiener as well. Okay? That's the other thing. I'd rather live in San Francisco than LA, though. No, San Francisco is beautiful. San Francisco is absolutely nicer than Los Angeles. It's a beautiful fucking city. Straight up. I totally understand why people people think it's at the center of everything in their universe, okay? I mean, it's got at least some level of adequate public transit, for example. That is, reason alone to Ray Huang was supposed to debate Bass and Nithya in a televised debate on Wednesday. Nithya and Bass both pulled out, so now it's canceled. Are you fucking serious? They canceled the debate? Bro, that is pissing me the fuck off. I was actually looking forward to see how Ray performs. Oh my God, they literally pulled out because they don't want to fucking be up there with Ray Huang. Oh my God. That's bullshit, dude. That's actually fucking bullshit. Full cap, SF is a dump. LA is 1,000 times nicer and a better city. That's not true. God, California politics is so ass. Did you see the Power Grid article that came out a few weeks ago? The biggest U.S. power grid is under strain from AI and no one is happy. I did not see it, chatter. I'm not going to be looking at it right now. I apologize. Did you have Nithya on your show or am I misremembering? No, I had Ray on one time. I'm planning to have Nithya on as well. And I'm planning to have Ray on again. I just haven't. I purposely didn't put my thumb on the scale because it was, I thought that DSALA would be able to handle it internally. They refused to endorse either of the candidates. I believe Nithya got 54% of the vote. But look, I've openly told you I like Ray. I think Ray Ray Huang is a great candidate. But unfortunately, she's green and she hasn't been able to secure the name recognition necessary to get up to get a decent poll position. Nithya, on the other hand, has viability, but her media appearances have been horrible. And also there's a bunch of stuff that I am skeptical of, which I was going to ask her directly when I have her on, specifically saying that she was in favor of defunding the police. And then once elected into office, she did end up signing on with police funding. This is not like, there's also a lot of ultras in Los Angeles too, in LA politics. There's a lot of Cinemarxisms in LA politics, including Cinemarxism himself at the time when he did live in LA, who will treat DSA LA endorsed candidates like they are literally the great Satan themselves if they sidestep away from any of their promises, even marginally. And yeah, people who pay attention to LA politics. Yeah, I pay attention to LA politics too. Okay, calm down. Like Nithya has done a lot of good work with homelessness in the city. Can we both at least agree on that? It's probably her only strong suit, and it's something that you care about quite a bit, right? But this is also true. Nithya was endorsed by Democrats for Israel. I know. You're telling me shit that I know already. That's what I'm saying. That is the reason for concern, okay? Brett is not the enemy, man. Come on. No, I don't think Cinemarxism is my enemy at all. What the fuck are you talking about? I've literally worked with him directly. He's done cam op work for me in the past. I can have reasonable disagreements with comrades, okay? It's normal. Shut the fuck up. It doesn't mean anything beyond that. Jesus Christ, some of you fucking babies. Anyway, yeah. Regardless, though, there is definitely, and it's not just Cinemarxism. There's definitely a lot of people in LA politics that will literally be like, "Oh, you are Satan incarnate if you, in any way, shape, or form, have made horrible decisions." Even if like the rest of your policies are on board, and the rest of your policies are solid. New poll, Pro Nithya Abundance Network Growth Machine Fund, Bass stalled out with a ceiling. Spencer Pratt growing in second place position. Nithya Rahman in third, but also winning in the runoff while Pratt gets thumped. I mean, I don't think... yeah, there's still a shit ton of undecided people. To be fair, DSALA has a bad track record. Yes, stop. I don't care. By the way, yeah, Nithya endorsed Bass before running. I know. And Nithya also came out of nowhere and decided to run out of nowhere. That's also true. It was literally a week after I had Ray on my broadcast. But I didn't want to like, again, like I said, I didn't want to put my thumb on the scale at all to see where things went. And, I'm not exactly very confident in Nithya at all, although polls still show her as, like, if the situation was that, like, Ray Huang was in striking distance, if she was in double digits alongside Nithya Rahman, like, I would lean into that. Okay? Are you the kingmaker of LA politics? No, I'm not. I'm just a fucking random dickhead who happens to live here. Okay? You can't trust LA DSA because they're dominated by DSA Right. DSA Right is literally the Zoran caucus. What are you talking about? Am I wrong about this? Okay. DSA Right caucuses are the caucuses that got fucking Zoran. They were the ones who were really unbelievably on board with Zoran. That's just the caucus drama everywhere in every fucking DSA. Every local DSA org has its own seasoning. Yes, DSA Right means electoralists and sometimes even liberals. But DSA LA is not the same as DSA New York. I know that. Okay, just stop. I know. It's a sore subject for me personally because I feel like it's my own personal failing that I haven't done enough work with DSA Los Angeles because I'm literally. It's like there's a Turkish saying. A tailor can't mend his own. A tailor can't sew his own clothes or something like that. Where it always feels like I'm so busy, fucking running around the country, or even running around the world that I don't do enough local stuff here. The shoemaker's son has no shoes. The cobbler's kids have no shoes. Okay, that's even better. I'm going to work on that. But yeah, this is bullshit for the record. Second time Bass and Ninty canceled a public debate with Ray. They're afraid of sharing a stage with someone who has genuine convictions, not beholden to money and power. Zoran was demonized as a terrorist, won't work with Ray. So she's impractical. Oh, brother, a man calls himself a suit guy. Now he's coming up with suit analogies. Yeah, all right. We've done so many hyper-local stories today. Holy shit. This has been, the first 2 hours have just been California politics and how absolute dog water it is. Probably the most devastating part of my political commentary is how horrible California politics is. We're moving on from that. Okay. And we're getting into situation monitoring. We're going from hyper local to international, folks. Can Ray Huang open the Strait of Hormuz? Yes. As a DSA LA member, fuck this whole ass fuck shit. Yeah, there's look, just remember, everyone's doing their best, and so is DSA LA, okay? Thank you for keeping San Francisco in the rotation. I know.
Trump's rejection.
Give the dog to a loving home, dumbass. My dog, Kaya, to a loving home. There is literally not a single person on this planet who can take better care of this dog. She's already in a loving home, you fucking jackass. The dog. It's always funny when these guys say this shit because Kaya literally lives a better life than you do. Okay? She lives a better life than you do. She gets to hang out with her friends in the morning, run around and play at the gym, or go to the park twice a day. She gets the best food. Sleeps all day in a loving home. And cuddles with me in bed at night. It's ridiculous. She touches more grass than you. She eats better food than you. She lives a much better life than you do. Okay? Yeah, someone should take her away from me and put her in a fucking kill shelter, right? That'll definitely fix her life. Yes, but if you considered I love to watch fascists and I'm cattle who doesn't think for myself, checkmate libtard. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of LSF losers in here today. Wait, why? Why? What happened? New LSF controversy? Does LSF even exist any longer? 2 posts I saw on front page. LSF is back on their bullshit. They're doing politics again. Hell yeah. Did they realize that they can't be... Did they realize that there's too much fuck Hassan motion right now in mainstream media that they don't want to give up on that? They had to bring it back. They had to bring back the fuck Hassan drama. I thought Hassan drama was banned off LSF. I haven't heard of LSF in a minute. All right, let's monitor the situation. Yeah, I got bigger ops to worry about, like the nation state of Israel or Fox News. It's the second LSF seemingly. Wait, they built a new LSF? Jesus Christ. God, that fucking desperation. These dudes will never let up. XQC brought up Collargate again, dead end streamer. Oh, nice. What happened? Did someone bring up did someone bring up that he's a fucking degenerate gambling addict? And for $100 million, he sold out his own audience to a crypto casino. And then immediately he probably pivoted back to fuck Hassan. I suspect that's usually what happens. Anytime someone's like, people are fucking dying and you're never getting healthcare. Okay. All right. All right, mods, calm down. All right, we're getting to situation monitoring, ladies and gentlemen. Back to the Strait of Hormuz.
Of the Iranian counteroffer was swift and absolute. I have just read the response from Iran's so-called representatives. I don't like it, Trump wrote on social media. He went on to call it totally unacceptable. There had been hope for an agreement to reopen the Strait of Hormuz for 30 days to allow negotiations on a long-term deal. But now, the path forward is unclear. Last week, President Trump, citing progress on U.S.-Iran negotiations, abruptly paused Operation Project Freedom, planned to provide U.S. military protection to commercial ships through the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump didn't say what specifically he objected to in Iran's counteroffer, but the future of Iran's nuclear program has been the major sticking point from the beginning. The president has sent mixed messages on Iran's nuclear material. In an interview last month, he said he didn't care about removing Iran's remaining stockpile of enriched uranium, saying, quote, "That's so far underground, I don't care about that." But he's now insisting the U.S. seize Iran's enriched uranium.
Can you tell us what you think about the extracting the uranium from Iran?
Yeah, we're going to get it.
How will you get it, sir?
We're going to get it.
As the war enters its 11th week, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told 60 Minutes the war can't end until Iran turns over that nuclear material.
I think it accomplished a great deal, but it's not over because there's still nuclear material, enriched uranium, that has to be taken out of Iran.
Last week, Iran continued to block commercial ships from crossing the Strait of Hormuz, fired on U.S. ally United Arab Emirates, and attempted to attack U.S. naval ships, prompting U.S. attacks in return. Still, President Trump insisted the ceasefire remains in place. And this morning, we are hearing again from the Iranians, the Iranian Foreign Ministry, saying that all they are doing is insisting on Iran's legitimate rights and saying it is the United States that is making unreasonable demands. George?
And John, this week, this summit with China was originally postponed because of the war with Iran, but the president can't postpone it again.
No, it is on, and this is a highly consequential summit. It's the first meeting in China with a U.S. president and the Chinese leader in nearly a decade, the last one being Trump in 2017. A huge agenda, artificial intelligence, trade, Taiwan, and now, of course, Iran will be a major topic of discussion. The White House wants the Chinese to cut off trade with Iran.
Spiked over the last 15 years. It's gone up many, many times, and I think it's a very important thing to mention. I mention it all the time, having to do with other subjects, and then I bring in autism. Anything having to do with medical, I always bring in autism. On another topic, we're looking very seriously at natural 7-OH and getting that approved, natural 7-OH, and we'll take a look at that very strongly. I think Oz and everybody, we're looking to see if we can do something there. A lot of people are asking for it. And thank you very much for the work on that. And with that, do you have any questions?
Mr. President, you mentioned that you were going to be meeting with the generals on Iran. You rejected a deal. Any effort was made to break this deal?
Yeah, it was just unacceptable. You know, a lot of people said, well, does he have a plan? Yeah, of course they do. I have the best plan ever. I mean, Iran has been defeated militarily, totally. They have a little left. They probably built up during this period of time. We'll knock that out in about a day. But I have a plan. You know, it's a very simple plan. I don't know why you don't say it like it is. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. They're very dangerous. They're very volatile. It's a terrible thing that's happened over there. They've killed 42,000 people in the last 2 months. 42,000. At least that's what we know of. 42,000 people. They killed numerous people over the last week, but they killed 42,000 people a month and a half ago. They were unarmed protesters, not at all violent protesters, and they started taking them out, shooting them. So we're not going to let them. That's the plan. You know, people say, what's the plan? The plan is very simple. The blockade, first of all, was a part of military genius, just like Venezuela was military genius. We have the greatest military in the world by far, and we're stocked up with great ammunition. We have much better stuff than we did 2 months ago.
You know what that means. When Donald Trump says we have a plan, you know his ass has no fucking plan, okay? Which is exactly what's going on. He has no plan. The idea that, like, instead of fucking securing a deal 2 days prior to the China summit, he's threatening to escalate militarily. I mean, what the fuck is the plan at this point? He's going to accelerate the bleeding. It's already hemorrhaging. America has lost this, okay? I've said this over and over again. The stockpiles are down. America has shown its ass to the rest of the world. We don't have the same force projection capabilities we once thought we had. A middle power is able to hold the entire global economy in a standstill, okay, against the most powerful military force on the planet, okay? The United States spends more money on its military than 8 of its peer and near peer adversaries combined. Okay, this includes Russia, this includes China. Like, it's not even a question who has the most powerful military on the planet. And the fact that they were not able to pry open the Strait of Hormuz militarily and defeat Iran militarily shows that America does not have that same power any longer. But there is a way to open the Strait of Hormuz. Diplomacy. Okay, Iran has shown its willingness to engage America diplomatically over and over again. As a matter of fact, to a degree that one would even consider naivete, right? America and Israel has fucked over Iran in the process of negotiations twice. Donald Trump is the guy who ripped open the JCPOA agreement that Iran had set up with Barack Obama in the past, a multilateral commitment from China, Russia, European partners, the International Atomic Energy Agency. It was working. It was successful. And Iran got limited sanctions relief in the process. And Donald Trump came into office shortly thereafter and destroyed it. And he did it for Israel because Israel was the only country that was against the JCPOA. And they let it be known over and over again, very publicly. Benjamin Netanyahu came to the United States of America and delivered a speech shitting on Barack Obama in front of Congress. All of that led to Iran finally closing up the Strait of Hormuz, something that they had not done in 47 years. Okay? And here we are. Donald Trump is failing to pry open the strait militarily. Iran is still maintaining the same militant posture. Iran is basically saying, look, these are our demands. They've been the same since like week 2 of Operation Epic Fail. And Trump is now going back to potential military escalation. This will only accelerate the bleeding. Because the only path to opening the Strait of Hormuz right now, as it stands, is not this long-standing, possible months-long conflict and standoff, but it's diplomacy. There's also one group that is in favor of the continuation of this conflict, and that's Israel. So remember that.
We first did the attack, which knocked them for a loop. But very simple. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Can't have it. And if they did have it, the Middle East would be gone, Israel would be gone, and they'd hit Europe probably next. We're doing the service to the world. And this has gone on for 47 years. Other presidents and leaders of other countries that have the power should have done it, but they didn't do it. But it's a very simple plan. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and they won't have a nuclear weapon, and they didn't want to go that far. If you can believe it, they didn't. How stupid. Are they stupid people? They didn't want to believe it. They think that, well, I'll get tired of this, or I'll get bored, or I'll have some pressure, but there's no pressure. There's no pressure at all. We're going to have a complete victory. We've already, in theory, had a complete victory from the military standpoint. The military, look, their Navy is dead. They have they had 159 ships. Right now they have 0, other than the little speedboats that go around that got taken out 8 a day by us. They have no Air Force. They have no anti-aircraft. Now, they probably put the shoulder jobs into service over the last 3 weeks, probably. But essentially, they have no anti-aircraft. They have no radar. And frankly, their leaders have been killed at the first level, second level, and half at the third level. And then they come back and they want to negotiate, and they give us it's a stupid proposal. And nobody would take it, although Obama would have taken it, Biden would have taken it. What they took was far worse. So we stopped him twice. We stopped him when I terminated the worst deal probably ever made in the history of our country in terms of defense. That was the Iran nuclear deal by penned by Barack Hussein Obama. That would have given Iran a nuclear weapon within a year. They would have had it years ago. I terminated that in my first term. And then when that beautiful plane right there hit them hard, we really hit them hard. And they told me, I want to just tell you this because they like to say, oh, well, maybe it wasn't that hard a hit. Iran told me very strongly, because they intend to give us the nuclear dust, as I call it. It's easier than talking about other terms because it's a term everyone knows. But the nuclear dust, which is what we hit, they told me, number one, you're getting it, but you're going to have to take it out because the site was so obliterated that there's only 1 or 2 countries in the world that could get it. It's so deep and got hit so hard that there's no way they have the equipment to move it. You and China are the only 2 countries in the world that could take it out. So we talked about it, and they said, you'll have to take it out because we don't have the capability of doing it. So for those people that like to say that those great pilots and those great planes, well, we just ordered 22 more of them, new and improved, that those great pilots didn't do their job, they did their job. At 1 o'clock in the morning with no moon, no light, no nothing, every single bomb hit its targets. And then, as you know, we shot some incredible things that nobody else has. Nobody has a military like we have. We shot the Tomahawks from a submarine 200 miles away, and that went on top of it. But every one of those, including the Tomahawks, every one of those weapons and shots hit perfectly. And they said to me, just to put it on the record, they said to me, there are only 2 countries in the entire world that could ever get that stuff out of there because we don't have the equipment and nobody else. They said China and the United States. So I just want to let you know, those pilots did an unbelievable job, very dangerous job at 1 o'clock in the morning. Think of it, no moon, no nothing. We had no light, purposely. And every single one of those bombs went right down an air chute in a granite mountain and exploded. And they are unable to get it, even if they wanted to. But we're not going to take a chance. So that's part of the deal.
So, sir, you said the Iranians agreed to allow the removal of all their enriched uranium?
Yeah. Well, they did it 2 days ago. They didn't, okay? They did 2 days ago. They said, you're going to have to take it. We were going to go with them. But they changed their mind because they didn't put it in the paper. So when they sent us this document that we waited 4 days for, that should have taken 10 minutes to do, look, very simple. We get that. They guarantee no nuclear weapons for a very long period of time, and a couple of other minor things, but they just can't get there. So they agree with us, and then they take it back. But they said to us that it was so badly obliterated, it was the word they actually used, that was my original word, that it got challenged by some of the fake news. And it wasn't challenged with any knowledge, it was just challenged like they were hoping that this wouldn't have been so successful. No, it was obliterated. We have the greatest military in the world. I built it largely in my first term, and I didn't know I'd be using it quite this much in my second term. But very simply, when they say, does he have a plan? Yeah, I have a plan. The plan is very simple. You know, in war, you have to change. You have to be flexible. You have a lot of plans, but you have to do different plans in different days. But I have a great plan. But the plan is they cannot have a nuclear weapon. And they didn't say that in their letter.
Mr. President, the leadership changes that you've talked about in Iran, is this still a leadership that you believe you can negotiate with, can ultimately reach a peace deal with?
Well, you have 2. You have the moderates and you have the lunatics. And I think the moderates are more respected. The lunatics want to fight till the end. You know, it'll be a very quick fight. But I call them. You have, just like our country, we have lunatics too. I call them lunatics. I call them stupid people too. But in Iran, they have the moderates that dying to make a deal, and then you have the lunatics, and I guess they're a little bit afraid of the lunatics, but and why not? The level of ferocity for protest, you know, the people are watching it. They want to go out on the streets. They have no weapons. They have no guns. We thought the Kurds were going to give us weapons, but the Kurds disappointed us. The Kurds take. They have a great reputation in Congress. Congress says, oh, they fight so hard. No, they fight hard when they get paid. So I'm very disappointed in the Kurds, but they were given. I said it wasn't going to work, by the way. I just have to say it. I disagreed with what they did. They gave it. I said, they'll never get there. And I was right. I like to be right. In this case, too bad, but we sent some guns with ammunition, and they were supposed to be delivered, but they kept it. I said they're going to keep it, but what do I know? I've only been doing this a short period.
For the time being, the ceasefire remains in place?
You know, it's unbelievably weak, I would say. I would call it the weakest right now. After reading that piece of garbage they sent us, I didn't even finish reading it. I said, I'm not going to waste my time reading it. I would say it's one of the weakest right now. It's on life support. They understand these are all medical people. Dr. Oz, life support is not a good thing. Do you agree?
Bad prognostic.
I would say the ceasefire is on massive life support, where the doctor walks in and says, sir, your loved one has approximately a 1%.
I don't even know what the fuck to say about this. Yeah, it's on life support because of you, jackass. Is because you care more about Israel than you do about making sure that Thailand continues having an electrical grid, okay? You care more about making sure that Israel's appetite is satiated for death and destruction than you do about making sure that Japan has sufficient energy, making sure that South Korea has sufficient energy. It's fucking ridiculous, okay? It is completely ridiculous.
Chance of living. Yeah.
Mr. President.
Daniel, go ahead.
Yep.
One of the best reporters in Washington.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Oz referenced this a little early. 2 questions on healthcare, if I can. The Council of Economic Advisors released a report saying that the most favored nation drug deals will generate about $529 billion in domestic savings over the next 10 years across all markets.
We are learning new details about Iran's demands to end the war. President Trump says the latest Iranian proposal is, quote, totally unacceptable. The Iranians today are calling it reasonable and generous. Iranian state media says the counterproposal calls for recognition of sovereignty over the blockaded Strait of Hormuz, among other demands. There was no mention of nuclear weapons. Let's get to CNN's Julia Benbrook at the White House for the latest this morning. So totally unacceptable, the president says. Now what?
New Gallup statement just dropped. There is no alternative but to accept the rights of the Iranian people as laid out in the 14-point proposal. Any other approach will be completely inconclusive, nothing but one failure after another. The longer they drag their feet, the more American taxpayers will pay for it.
Or Eagle, in Persian, can accommodate all types of fighter jets and bombers, in addition to...
Bro, they got the F-4s in the caves, man. They got their fucking fighter jets.
Iran's army on Tuesday unveiled its first underground base for fighter jets designed to withstand possible strikes by U.S. bunker-busting bombs, state media reported. The base, named Ogab-44, Eagle, in Persian, can accommodate all types of fighter jets and bombers, in addition to drones, the official news agency IRNA said, releasing images and videos from inside the base. The exact location of the base was not revealed, but state media said it was at the depth of hundreds of meters under the mountains and capable of withstanding.
This is from 2022. No, I know it's an older. I know it's older footage. I just think it's crazy that even their hangars are inside of the mountain. God. By the way, this is straight up North Korea's whole thing. Okay, this is North Korea's influence. Like, I'm not even joking, because I often will say, oh, North Korea, like, what kind of junior partner role could they be playing in Ukraine or whatever? This is the Democratic People's Republic of Korea's multi-decade planning and aid. Okay, they got straight up genocided by the Allied force of the Korean War, and we're like, never again. We're building everything underground. You slander the best Korea too much, little bro. Straight up, this is Jusha, 100%. Same with Hamas. They went in. They went into every country that is an adversary nation to American imperialism, where we're like, well, we will aid you. We will offer you our support. We will help you fucking build underground missile bunkers, underground missile facilities. We will help you fucking figure out, we will give you the greatest tunnel tech.
Landing bombs by strategic U.S. bombers. In May last year, Iran's army revealed an Air Force base for drones under the Zagros mountain range in the west of the country. The latest unveiling comes the day before Iran marks Air Force Day, part of the build-up to the 44th anniversary of the 1979 Islamic Revolution. OGAB 44 is one of numerous tactical underground air bases for the army.
This was the first ever threat I saw of Bonzer Berry as well. He's, he's great. He's a great OSINT guy, very reliable. I don't think it would be far-fetched to say that Hamas weathering 15 months of air bombardment and ground invasion has a long historical thread, tying back the U.S. dropping over 500 million tons of bombs on North Korea. There are many factors that allowed the Al-Qassam brigades to emerge from all corners of Gaza on Sunday, but a major one was their spider web of underground tunnels, a complex, endless maze of reinforced tunnels, 50 to 100 meters underground with over 5,000 access shafts. Following the U.S.'s genocidal air campaign in North Korea, described by Ken LeMay, General LeMay, Curtis bombs away LeMay, as burning down every village in North Korea, the KPA started building a massive network of tunnels along the DMZ. North Korea is regarded as the most tunneled nation in the world by military experts. North Korea also built underground command centers, industrial sites, and the Pyongyang Metro, the deepest metro on Earth, capable of withstanding a nuclear strike. The same year they completed the metro, North Korea dispatched an engineer regiment to North Vietnam to help them construct an underground military headquarters and pass on their expertise/equipment in their fight against the U.S. invasion. North Korean participation in the Vietnam War. Newly available Vietnamese documents revealed that in 1965, North Korea dispatched an engineer regiment to North Vietnam to help the North Vietnamese construct the secret underground headquarters complex. The underground headquarters was to be built in a remote mountainous region northwest of Hanoi for use by North Vietnam's leaders in the event of an emergency, such as the destruction of the North Vietnam's headquarters facilities in Hanoi by U.S. air attacks or an invasion of North Vietnam by U.S. and South Vietnamese forces. The secret headquarters was specifically designed to provide protection against both bombs and chemical weapons. The construction of their underground headquarters complex began in October 1965 after the arrival of the North Korean Engineer Regiment. The North Korean engineers, who clearly had considerable experience in building such underground complexes, provided technical assistance, trained the Vietnamese to operate the equipment, and worked alongside the Vietnamese, carrying out the construction of this complex and in assembling and installing hundreds of tons of equipment, including an air filtration system in the headquarters complex. Fast forward to 2006. Hezbollah humiliated the Israeli occupying forces when they invaded South Lebanon, a feat that rested largely on their underground infrastructure. It was built with the assistance of North Korean engineers. A.B. Abrams notes that the layout closely mirrors the layout of the DMZ network. The effectiveness of Hezbollah's tight security network in southern Lebanon, its emphasis on using complex and often extremely deep underground tunnel and bunker networks to move troops, store munitions, and infiltrate enemy territory safe from detection or air attacks, and more recently, its deployment of vast arsenals of rocket artillery and ballistic missiles, all closely reflect not only Korean influences, but active Korean assistance. KPA advisors have reportedly assisted Hezbollah in building the complex tunnel infrastructure deemed key to its success in 2006, and Israel's discovery since then of infiltration tunnels under its own territory meant for wartime penetration were highly reminiscent of those discovered by South Korea coming from the DPRK. It is notable that layout of the tunnel network in southern Lebanon closely mirrors that on the northern side of the inter-Korean demilitarized zone. To provide some indication of how extensive and well fortified the Korean-built tunnel and bunker network in southern Lebanon was, the region south of the Litani River alone was thought to have over 600 ammunition and weapons bunkers, 8 or more meters underground, alongside better fortified command bunkers constructed to a depth of 40 meters using poured concrete. Similar structure to the Hamas tunnel system as well. These were not as deep as those in Korea itself, designed to withstand multiple American nuclear strikes, but were still sufficient to weather anything in Israel's arsenal or any known non-nuclear bunker buster in service in the Western Bloc at the time. The network built in southern Lebanon was 25 kilometers long. Western analysts also believe that North Korean engineers have been valuable advisors to Iran in construction of their underground facilities. Some even believe that North Korea had a direct role in the construction of the Eagle 44 and Ford Al. Palestinians in Gaza have long history working in tunnels dating back to the 80s due to the blockade, but the scope, design, and purposes drastically expanded since then. The first official tunnel operation against the Israeli occupying forces will be conducted in 2001. Latest designs are bunker buster resistant, using a combination of poured concrete arches, sandbags, and blast doors to fortify the soft sand and clay. Hamas tunnel picture on the left and North Korean picture on the right. Look at that. There are a lot of unanswered questions as to how, Barry writes, there are a lot of unanswered questions as to just how significant Iranian and Lebanese aid to Hamas was leading up to the Al-Aqsa flood. But I don't think it would be crazy to say that they are at the very least received designs / technical knowledge from them as they did with the weapons. North Korea has been intervening on America's aggression for decades on the down low. In turn, the U.S., Israel, and South Korea have been training for tunnel warfare for years, but no modern army has dared to actually do it. I think it's an Israeli think tank, but it's got more images. Yeah. Hezbollah's land of tunnels, the North Korean-Iranian connection. Yeah. So obviously, tunnel warfare has been the anti-imperialist's greatest weapon for a century almost at this point. Underground combat is a bloodbath. Yes, you will never be able to figure out exactly the complex web of tunnel systems. So anytime you enter a tunnel system, oftentimes these are also booby-trapped, you're walking into a death trap. These things also have shut-off points as well on numerous locations. They can blow up, they can booby-trap them, and you know, they can bury whoever fucking chooses to enter these tunnels. But this is what Israel was saying the whole time. So there are tunnels. Yes, we've never denied the existence of tunnels. There is basically, what is it like? An unbelievable network of tunnels underneath Gaza. Yes, this is true. It's also entirely removed from what is above it. Okay? Yes, of course. Israel uses the existence of the known tunnel network underneath Gaza to justify blowing up hospitals on top of the tunnel system. Okay? We do not agree with the justification that Israel uses to blow up the hospitals. This is not a reasonable justification to blow up a hospital. There is not really any justification to blow up a hospital. Israel itself has actually, ironically, been the party in this conflict, the only belligerent in this conflict, the occupying force that has gutted out hospitals, Palestinian hospitals, oftentimes developed with and run with foreign money, with donors from all around the world. They will use those hospitals as command and control infrastructure when they actually invaded the Gaza Strip and occupied the Gaza Strip. Hamas has never done this. Israel simply claims Hamas does this in an effort to justify targeting and destroying the entire healthcare infrastructure of the Gaza Strip. IRGC hats go crazy. The Kim Il-sung have crazy hat game. The IRGC hats go crazy. The Cuban hats go crazy too. I don't know what's up with the hats. When I was in Cuba, I really wanted to get one, but I didn't have time. And I also don't even know if it's legal to have that. Have you guys ever seen the Cuban hats? It's like kind of funny actually. It literally looks like the one hat that I wear all the time with the pigeon on it, the skateboard hat that I wear. You don't need to delve into hats again. The IRGC hats, I feel like the bill is so long. I don't know what it is. Like I don't know why it comes across like look. Like look at how long the fucking look at how long the bill is, dude. What the fuck? I guess it's it's blocking out more sun. Is sun protection, and then Wait, no, not that. Hold on. Cuban military hats. Cuban military hat. Oh, no, not that. These aren't correct either. I'm looking for those specific like civilian, like not these hats, like the famous ones. I'm looking at the ones that are like a regular casual hat. What are they called? The field hat? Is it a field? No. No, not the Fidel cap. No, there's a new one. No, not the one that I already have. I have one. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the classic the military one. I'm talking about the one that looks like a casual hat. The one that looks like the RGC hat. The soft caps. This, yes. These are fire. These are fucking dope. That's what I wanted. As you know, I'm Iranian, and you, bitch, have never stood under the Iranian sun. Otherwise, you'd understand that shit. 50 degrees Celsius or 122 Fahrenheit. They are making Vicky Palladino delete all her tweets, apologize for her tweets, and remove all government branding from her Twitter account. That is a unbelievable victory. That is an unconditional victory for not only Zoran, but for me as well. Another op is down, folks. Anyway, how do we get to the North Korean tunnels? Oh, we were looking at the incredible tunnel systems they have for even their planes. The Wall Street Journal reports the UAE has been secretly carrying out attacks on Iran, casting the Gulf monarchy as an active combatant in a war, which it has been Iran's biggest target. One strike in April hit an oil refinery in Iran's Levant Island. The attack led to a major fire and caused the refinery to be shut down for several months. Iran responded with missile and drone strikes against the United Arab Emirates and Kuwait. Well, now we get to see a clearer picture of why Iran was so punishing of the United Arab Emirates beyond just beyond just hating the fucking vibes of the UAE. Mr. Trump and Xi Jinping are reportedly considering a deal to allow China to invest $1 trillion in the U.S., largely to build factories on American soil. Trump on the verge of making massive error. Dude, he is literally reheating Obama's nachos every day. Okay? It's unbelievable. This is literally just Obama. What the fuck? Yo, straight up, JCPOA is currently being discussed. The ceasefire that we have right now is JCPOA, but bigger. Okay? And if he ends up getting Chinese factory investment on U.S. soil, he's just Obama. He is literally white man Obama. He's like, I didn't like that Obama was black while doing the things he was doing. Okay? That's fucking incredible. Hold on, I'm tweeting. Yeah. Oh, and he does. It's really funny because whenever they get mad, whenever he is brought, whenever people bring up like, well, isn't this just the JCPOA? He just straight up says, no, Obama did it, but did it stupidly. Like, you're just doing JCPOA, but with more favorable conditions for Iran, okay? And you're also doing Chinese investment on U.S. soil for American factories, but once again, something that Obama also did, but doing it not as a black man, I guess. Yeah. Way more favorable terms for U.S. adversaries, which I don't think is bad if it leads to long-term peace, stability. Actually, I'm not even going to put that part in there. Fuck it. He gave up a better deal than the JCPOA with Ali Khamenei in favor of Israel. Yeah. Are you racist? You didn't hate on Obama when he did these things? Is it because Trump is pasty white? No, I don't have any. No, I'm not hating on. If these deals actually come to fruition, they're great. Okay, if these deals actually come to fruition, they're great. They're just, I would say. I'm in favor of stability and peace. Okay. The problem is the way he's arriving at these deals is he's just fucking blundering. Obviously, the chatter was joking, by the way. I don't think chatter is saying that like I'm demonstrating anti-white racism. And I've been unbelievably critical of Barack Obama because I think it's, appropriate to be critical of Barack Obama. But there are certain things that I've always held up in Barack Obama's foreign policy agenda that I thought were very good. JCPOA, the Cuban normalization arrangement, like these were good things that Barack Obama did. Sometimes they were so good that it even confused the adversaries themselves. Like JCPOA was not confusing. It was a long-standing, almost a decade-long process of negotiations that finalized with all of these other countries involved in it. But with Cuba, the Cubans were fucking surprised. Like they didn't even understand it. They were like, "Why the fuck is this happening?" America's never been good to us. Anyway, Obama has also done a whole deal of a litany of war crimes, drone warfare, extrajudicial killings of American citizens, all this stuff. Didn't close Guantanamo Bay, did the troop surge in Iraq. I can go on for decades, okay? However, Obama also didn't get the JCPOA by closing the Strait of Hormuz, creating a global energy crisis, collapsing the energy markets, and behaved like Israel's little puppet in the process. He actually expended a good deal of social capital that he had and caused a lot of anger and resentment from the Israeli side, which I think was objectively a good thing. Libya as well. Who could forget? Obviously, God, there's, like I said, I could talk for hours, if not for years, if not for decades, about the many failures of Barack Obama in terms of his foreign policy. That's why I was giving you the much shorter part of Barack Obama's legacy that I think is worthy of praise, rather than the parts of Barack Obama's legacy that are worthy of tremendous criticism.
And pussy too.
Anyway, so, Obama's here. Whoa, Obama, what are you doing here?
And pussy too.
What? That's crazy. Anyway, it is very funny, though, that the guy who was responsible for ripping up the JCPOA and then doing the Abraham Accords is now finally arriving at JCPOA 2, Electric Boogaloo.
And pussy too.
Sina Tusi says, Trump has no good options on Iran. He could have stayed in the Obama deal. I like this tie, by the way. I hate to admit, I'm a suit guy now, so I notice these things. Trump has no good options in Iran. He could have stayed in the Obama deal or taken the reportedly stronger arrangement on the table before the war. Instead, he chose relentless escalation with Iran since 2018, motivated by his own grudges, hubris, and the path Netanyahu and the Israel lobby sent him on. In doing so, he gave Iran the opportunity to activate its innate leverage over the Strait of Hormuz and pull the U.S. into a strategic quagmire. Now he's sinking deeper into an escalation trap despite there being no military solution. I just finished his book, A Promised Land, and from the 2007 housing crisis of Palestine, the Jeremiah Wright and Trump, his whole position has been, I know what the morally correct position is, but fuck it, we neoliberally ball anyway. Yeah, in some respects, that makes it worse, I think, Closer look at the tie while he's perfectly still, lol.
During the earliest years of their children's lives. Second, we are...
This is so funny. Dude, okay. I'm not one of these liberals, but I'm about to say something that's a little libbed up. Okay? I was literally screaming about Brandon's brain leaking out of his ears since 2019. I said he shouldn't run. He's unbelievably old. His faculties have diminished. And the media took its sweet-ass time to get there, right? Perhaps far too late. And it definitely played a role in the diminished credibility of mainstream media for not openly covering that Brandon was demented. I will, however, say this. This is not normal. It's not normal. The media's doing it again. So perhaps they have a uniparty principle when it comes to hiding the fact that our fucking president is demented, okay? I'm sorry, it's objectively abnormal to have the leader of the free world falling a fucking sleep every damn day. What the fuck? What are we doing? Why is no one saying, hey, It's a little strange that our 80-year-old president is fucking shitting himself and farting in his diapers and falling asleep every day while actively decomposing on the timeline. Why is there not a single fucking news article about this? Have you not learned your lesson from Joe Brandon? What the fuck is going on? I'm sorry. This is not fucking normal. He is literally a rotting corpse. Why are we not? What is happening? Why is this the normal? Why is this a new norm? Why do we have two rotting carcasses back to fucking back? He's dead, bro. He's dead. Let it go. He was blinking, you absolute moron. Oh my God, the cope. Every time I see this, David Pakman agrees with me. Okay, this is one area of agreement because guess what? We're not agreeing with one another. We're just observing reality. Okay? This is genuinely insane. What the fuck are we doing? And it's like, this is truly alarming, okay? This is alarming. This guy is sleeping all the time and possibly farting, okay? Don't forget, there's reports that he might be farting all the time too. We don't know if those reports are substantiated. I feel like if he was farting a lot in his sleep, like people would probably at some point leak it, right? Because he's constantly around, not just like, Secret Service and staffers but he's also around like celebrities and shit. Like, I'm sure if he farted in front of Messi, Messi would be like, that's weird that the president farted in front of me,
In the Perinatal Improvement Collaborative hospitals, we have reduced maternal mortality by 41.5%, which is true.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. What are we doing, man? He's also around kids too. They definitely ain't going to keep quiet. He's lost his fastball too. He said Dumbocrats. Shaq and Celtic.
By some very bad people. Now I'm the hunter. It's much better when you're the hunter. But these are bad people, and they'll give you no support at all, no matter how good it is. I mean, as an example, I don't know what the numbers are, but if we go to Congress to get something approved, which we get, but you can say that we're going to reduce drug prices by 80%, and we won't get one Democrat vote. I don't know how they get away with it. That's why we call them the Democrats. We have a new name. They're Democrats because.
Oh no!
What the hell? Oh my!
That's terrible. The Democrats. Oh, he's washed. When my goat is washed. My goat's so washed. What? Check my last message. Setting aside the fact that he's obviously not blinking, it's doubly funny for the White House to say he's blinking while in the middle of wartime negotiations, where, as the saying goes, you really shouldn't blink first. Okay, God, Megaphonics. Are you a dad already? What's going on? I know you're married, but that was the most dad joke you could have come up with. Jesus Christ. You really wanted to go back. You wanted to roll the clock back on that one. You were like, check, bro. Libophonics said, bro, check these messages, okay? He went from wife maxing to dad maxing. What the hell, man? Bro, you can't lie like that. Line wouldn't have gone hard in 2017. Let me have this. Yeah, it's almost been 10 years, man. Bro, if Trump farted in front of Messi, the Five would spend 20 minutes saying that farting in front of the most famous celebrity in the world is a tool that the president is using to assert his dominance over Messi. He's consciously farting because he can. You're not wrong. That is definitely what would happen.
They're dumb. They're dumb people, and they just can't do it. I've been waiting so long for them to change, but they just keep losing, and they're going to keep losing with their policy.
Yeah, they're going to keep losing. That's why we're trying to cheat.
Truly incredible. And this is compared with the 5.9% decline in benchmark hospitals.
I can't believe it, dude. What are we doing? What a dumbass country we live in. Like, we have so much promise, okay? We have so much potential. And it's a nation run by two carcasses back to back, corrupt tyrants, carcasses, only invested in advancing the interests of corporations and the super wealthy. Ugh. Have you seen this nonsense about you on change.org? Tell Democrats not to cross the Hassan Piker red line. Brother, why are you giving this any attention whatsoever? Stop Anti-Semitism started this link, this petition. Do we think Stop Anti-Semitism is a Democrat? He's got 1,387 petitions. All right, 1,387 signatures. Just signed. Okay, dude. Thank you. I think this chat would troll me into going to prison. Like, they'd be like, "Oh, I'm such a troll. I'm such a troll. Hey, you have to pay attention to this thing." Ugh.
Go at the weakest.
For the time being, the ceasefire remains in place.
It's unbelievably weak. I would say I would go at the weakest right now.
From the standpoint of weakness, this is the weakest that they've ever
After
been.
reading that piece of garbage they sent us, I didn't even finish reading it. They said, I'm not going to waste my time reading it. I would say it's one of the weakest right now. It's on life support. They understand these are all medical people. Dr. Oz, life support is not a good thing. Do you agree?
Bad prognostic.
I would say the ceasefire is on massive life support, where the doctor walks in and says, "Sir, your loved one has approximately a 1% chance of living."
I already read it, laughing man. The Quebec paper. I read it already. I saw that they wrote about me. I know. The JCPOA has been characterized by Trump and other opponents as a kind of woke capitulation by Democrats, whereas in reality it was the product of cold realist calculation that the U.S. global power would obviously go into relative decline over time, and thus it would be better to negotiate favorable terms for a drawdown, including preventing an Iranian nuclear weapon in exchange for sanctions relief, rather than have it collapse in unwinnable confrontations. How can we see that? Oh, good question. You can rewind. And right now, as it stands, you can't rewind unless you subscribe. Okay? But if you subscribe to the Piker Broadcasting Service, the People's Broadcasting Service, you can send me links with no guarantees that I'll click on them. You can also use the emotes all around the platform, and you can also rewind. How do I rewind if I can't afford a sub? Then if you're a broke boy, then sorry, no rewind for you. It's not up to me. That's just how the platform works. But I guess you can get gifted a sub. That's right. You can get gifted a sub by a wealthy benefactor. Closed Presidents, thank you for the 20 gifted subs. Michael Fuscoar, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. For all the broke boys in the chat, you can either use your Prime sub, which is free, or if you're lucky, you can get gifted a subscription from one of the many Qatari Oilers in the chat. That's right. Those are the ways that you can do it. What Kami says, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. There's some reports that Pakistan has quietly allowed Iran to park military aircraft, including an RC-130 reconnaissance plane, at its strategic Noor Khan airbase near Rawalpindi, even as Islamabad publicly presented itself as a mediator between Tehran and Washington. Iran has also moved civilian aircraft to Afghanistan, with one Mahan airplane relocated from Kabul to Herat for safety during Pakistan's airstrikes on Kabul in March. Pakistan and Afghan Taliban officials denied the claims, while U.S. officials say the arrangement appeared aimed at shielding Iranian assets from American strikes. Where are you going? Israel's now deploying lifelike mannequin decoys dressed in helmets, tactical vests, and masks, and military uniforms to bait Hezbollah FPV drones into wasting their munitions on fake targets. Yeah. I think Hezbollah knows to target the streaming running ones instead of the obviously brave ones. What is this Looney Tunes shit? Yeah, I don't think this is gonna work, and the only reason why I say that is because the Israeli occupying forces oftentimes run away. What is this photo of the year? Wait, is that real? No, this is AI, isn't it? That's not a real FPV drone, is it? That's AI. That looks AI. Trump meme, what is he doing?
Okay, we have it in our sight. Fire, boom. Okay, we have it in our sight. Fire, boom.
Yeah, it might be a real FPV drone footage that they AI base boosted, like they enhanced it with AI. Axios says two U.S. officials say Trump is now leaning towards taking some form of military action against Iran to increase pressure on the regime and force concessions on its nuclear program. Jeremy Boise, thank you for the 10 gifted subs, by the way. Is it a hype train? No, it's not a hype train. Never mind. My daughter is 16 today. Can you please say happy birthday, Carol? Happy birthday, Carol. Colorado Democrat congressional candidate Malak Quiros calls to abolish ICE and give all criminal illegals citizenship. Abolishing ICE is just one step. I think there is to be an immediate pathway for every single undocumented immigrant. Let's go. Dude, what the fuck? Why is the RNC research so far up my asshole, dude? It's crazy. It's crazy. Xilax! Oh my God, a name I haven't seen in a long time. Xilax, thank you for the 50 bones. P-Blows, thank you for the 5 bones. Bad Buzzy 15, thank you for the 5 bones as well. Caked Up Bot, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. What the fuck? What is, I mean, it's a bit weird, right? Like, why is the Republican Party this invested in like Democratic primary races? Why is the Republican Party this invested in Democratic primary races? They don't focus on Democratic primaries like this. Why have they put the crosshairs on what the Democratic Party is doing right now in its own fucking primary system? Senate Republicans also did this. Just days ago, Democrat mouthpiece Hassan Piker called for a violent revolution. Now Piker backed Graham Plattner, who said violence with a gun is necessary to achieve change. I do believe 100% that a political revolution is entirely necessary.
Back to Lever Time. I'm still on the road speaking with Graham Plattner.
I do 100% believe that a political revolution is entirely necessary. Yeah.
Wow. I'm shitting in my pants right now. Like, why is it that the only appropriate speech in terms of like even violent revolutionary rhetoric, right? Which I wasn't even saying. I said those who make peaceful revolution impossible make violent revolution inevitable, which is not my statement. It's JFK's. But like Republicans literally talk about like arming themselves. Republicans talk about arming themselves to conduct bloody warfare on a daily fucking basis. Like, what are we talking about? Holy shit, RNC research is so far up my asshole, dude. Oh my God. Posting like their salary depends on it. I mean, it does. Republicans not only have talked about and still continue to talk about doing like violent revolution, Second Amendment. Like, what do you think it means when you say, oh, well, the Second Amendment, I have my Second Amendment so I can rise up against a tyrannical government through a well-regulated militia force if necessary. That's literally just the opposite side of this conversation. But God forbid someone on the fucking left says something not even remotely as violent, remotely as threatening. All of a sudden, every fucking liberal and the entirety of the right wing comes storming down, being like, oh my God, oh my stars and garters. Where are my pearls? I must clutch them. I must clutch my pearls. They've not only spoken about doing a violent revolution, they have literally tried to and failed to successfully do an insurrection. What the fuck was January 6th? It's so interesting. It's so interesting that the whole game is so slanted to the right. Right-wingers get away with saying whatever the fuck they want. But God forbid you are on the left. Not just on the liberal side, but even though liberals also, unfortunately, deal with this shit all the fucking time as well, right? And yet they still don't shy away from using the same tactics to those who are on their left, right? Because right-wingers, conservatives, the Republicans are to the right of liberals. Liberals are sometimes center left, sometimes center right. That's what most of the Democratic Party is. And of course, Republicans will always use the same cynical framing to attack everyone to their left flank. This also obviously includes liberals. This also obviously includes Democrats, right? But then the same corporate Democrats who are on the receiving end of this shameless line of attack will then so easily turn the crosshairs to their left and attack their left flank in the exact same way. It's very frustrating to watch this happen, okay? My argument isn't to say like, oh, why can't I be violent in my rhetoric, right? That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm not even using violent rhetoric when I talk about, you know, the likelihood of violence happening as a direct consequence of removing pressure valves, like like overturning the results of a vote, right? In the state of Virginia. That's what this escalation against democracy is inevitably going to lead to. And even then, they're like, whoa, it's incredible. I can't believe he's saying that. Yeah, Ted Nugent said Democrats should be hunted down like wild game. And no one has an issue fucking getting endorsed by Ted Nugent, running around and campaigning with Ted Nugent. It doesn't even meet that standard at all. It's double standard after double standard. It's unbelievable levels of hypocrisy. It's so frustrating, and it's the same that exists here. Obviously, Josh Gottheimer. Today, too many Democrats are noticeably shamefully silent when anti-Semitism comes from the far left. But there should be one response to those who express hatred towards any American. Condemnation. Hate is hate. One might wonder if this standard applies to Gottheimer's obvious hatred of Palestinians, but of course it doesn't. Josh Gottheimer literally said, according to two sources with knowledge of the meeting, when someone brought up the fact that there were no Muslim leaders in the interfaith meeting that was taking place after October 7. There were no Muslim leaders. Josh Gottheimer said, it's because they're guilty. A Democrat in the room said that after making his remark, Gottheimer could be seen having an animated discussion about it with Representative Greg Kazar. He is a rapacious racist. But of course, he's racist towards Muslims, so it doesn't matter, right? Because that kind of rhetoric is not only permissible, but it's actually encouraged. You can say that and elevate your status as a consequence of saying that. So fucking annoying. Now let's get back to the Strait of Hormuz.
That's the big question. We have reached out to the White House here for more details on what exactly was in this response. What does it cover? And like you mentioned, does it address Iran's nuclear capabilities, the highly enriched uranium, the things that we have been discussing for several weeks now? But what is clear is that President Donald Trump is not happy with this response. He called it totally unacceptable. I want to pull it up for you now. This was a True Social post that came Sunday, and in it he said, "I've just read the response from Iran's so-called representatives. I don't like it. Totally unacceptable." Now, according to Iranian state media, that counter proposal, it included sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz, as well as demands for compensation for war damages, which have been non-starters here at the White House. And the response, it also came later than those in the administration were expecting it to. On Friday, we heard from Trump, we heard from other administration officials who said that they expected to see a response from Tehran sometime that day. And even then, Trump was asked about the timing. Did he believe that Iran was slow rolling this response? And he essentially said, we'll soon find out if that is the case. And then just yesterday, speaking with Axios, Trump did confirm that he had had another conversation with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He said that it was a good conversation, that they discussed a number of things, but Iran's response here was part of that. So the big question remains, what's next? How does Trump see next steps? We have heard him threaten escalation multiple times when things have fallen through in the past. It's really unclear at this moment, though. We do expect to at least see him a couple of times today. There should be reporters in the room with him at various events, so hopefully we'll get an update at some point.
You know, I want to put up a picture of the Strait of Hormuz, which is still very much closed this morning, as President Trump says that Iran's offer, counter proposal on peace, is totally unacceptable. Admiral, you've been at this a long time. How surprising is that? The U.S. waited and waited and waited for the Iranians to respond. They thought it was going to be Thursday, then Friday. It didn't come Saturday. Finally, it came yesterday, and the president didn't like it.
Iran invented the game of chess, and you can see them playing pretty cleverly. They don't actually have a great hand of cards here, John, but one of their true life skills in Tehran is negotiating. And so they're going to string it out as long as they can. Look, I think President Trump has three options. Very quickly, he can kind of walk away from this.
What is this? This is a guy, the literal U.S. Congress trying to silence, by the way. What the fuck? Now, in the car cinematic universe, okay, the fact that there are female cars and male cars, and also baby cars, implies that these cars have a cussy, which is, of course, a car and a pussy. Okay? Car plus pussy equals cussy. That's right. I'm going to do it again. Car plus pussy equals cussy. Okay? Now let's talk about Car Universe 9/11. Perfect cut. Who is this guy? Why is it I get busy and don't watch him when he does fun stuff? Running for Cali, not New Jersey, my bad. TJ Adams Falconer. Running for Congress in the new California 38, used to work for Obama, Diamond Bar. Trying to understand the average American voter, median American voter. America will never be a socialist country. Karl Marx killed 1 billion people, but Mo killed landlords who are not people. I like that. One commie I can get behind. Social sit. Karl Marx Carney. This is awesome. All right, let's get back to this.
Throw up his hands. I think that's tempting, but not the right move, since it would leave the straight in the hands of the Iranians and all the nuclear material still probably at the bottom of a shaft in Isfahan. So not a good option. A second option, he can resume massive bombing campaigns. And, you know, I think that is increasingly a possibility here if his frustration level rises. And then number three, where I think this probably lands better than even chance, you continue that blockade, you put more economic pressure on the Iranians. Maybe you do some targeted strikes to eliminate the, shall we say, intransigent elements in the Iranian Revolutionary Guards that appear to be driving the train from Tehran. Some combination of all of that, but it's as unsettled as it's been since we started dropping bombs a couple of months ago, John.
Yeah, it is interesting because the United States, some officials were indicating they thought the blockade would have worked weeks ago at this point, but still hasn't forced Iran's hand, at least not yet. So the president this week, a fascinating trip, right? The president is going to China to meet with the Chinese leader Xi Jinping. Now, there are some people who say that Iran will be a major subject of discussion here, but my question is Xi, is he mostly concerned?
Why? I'm sorry. You're not Professor Jiang, okay? There is no reason for you to be standing in front of this thing and circling Beijing. What the fuck is this? Okay, now I need a digital panel myself because I'm getting fucking annoyed. This is ridiculous. What the fuck? Is this the new meta? Do I need to get a digital panel? Did Professor Jiang change the game? It's kind of like, you know, how SM7B mics became a signature fixture in all of these like new age podcasts. Now you got to get a smart board.
About Iran over here, or does he have his eyes glancing south to Taiwan right there, Admiral?
Well, first,
yeah, he's laughing. He's laughing because you're a child. You did a childlike painting here. Was this complimentary to the argument? No. Did you have to do this at all? No. What the fuck is this?
First and foremost, recall that President Xi is a strategic thinker. He kind of plays the long game from everything I've seen. So I think the short answer to your question is both. He sees Iran as a prime source of hydrocarbons. He's getting oil at a significant discount. He'd like that to continue, but he
Smart
would
board would be
also
sick. I'll
like the
sponsor it.
opportunity to put more pressure on what he regards as the rogue province of Taiwan. So I think both of those are going to come up, but I'm not looking for any geopolitical breakthrough in Beijing, John. What I think we're going to see is two leaders who will pretend to like each other a lot. There'll be some minor deliverables, maybe a little less tension on the trade and tariff front. No big breakthroughs one way or the other, but it'll be great theater watching the two of them on the Great Wall of China, in the Hall of the People, in the Forbidden Palace. Look for some great photo ops, not a lot of substance.
With me now to discuss the CNN politics and global affairs commentator, Sabrina Singh. Thank you for being here. Look, where we are right now, where does this leave us?
Ugh, former Biden, war criminal.
In this war with Iran?
Well, I think where it leaves us right now is both sides looking at each other and determining who can outlast each other longer. And I do think right now Iran has more of time on its side. Iran is willing to endure the economic pain and doesn't really care about its population. I mean, obviously, we've seen that from the crackdown of protests within the country versus the United States and this administration. I mean, every single day, Americans are seeing their gas prices going up. I think in 49 states right now, gas is over $4. So the economic pain and pressure is really being felt here at home. And this administration is going to have to make that political calculation as well as how long they can withstand this war. I think both sides really don't want to resume kinetic action. But obviously, the president has said multiple times that he is willing to take that action. And that remains to be seen on what his latest response to this Iranian proposal will really bring, and if that brings a U.S. response. I don't think this week, but in the coming weeks, potentially.
Iran, as part of one of the things that it's demanding, is asking for sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz. Is this something that proves the idea that this war made it crystal clear to Iran that power over the strait is almost as valuable as their power in the region, as their nuclear ambitions are?
I think that's absolutely right. I mean, Iran used its own nuclear option by closing this strait and then just crippling global markets everywhere around the world. And so by doing that, that really put the United States on its back foot. But no matter what, I think the idea that Iran would control the Strait of Hormuz indefinitely and charge some type of toll, I mean, that just goes against everything when it comes to freedom of navigation. And so the United States really, and this administration in particular, now has to force Iran back to the table and say that is a non-starter for us, but we have to get this strait open. And I think potentially what you could see this week is Trump is going to China. And is this something that he discusses with President Xi? I mean, we know President Xi and Iran have close ties to each other. Can China help potentially open this strait and get it open for all countries around the world so that, you know, global markets can essentially potentially reset, you know, over the next few months and years too.
CNN's David Goldman is with us this morning. A silver lining, I think, if you're talking about the macro decades-long evolution here.
That's right, John. I mean, we've talked so much about the negative consequences.
Things are going so good as America being the hegemonic power player here. Sorry, I had to open the door. Things are going so good as America being the hegemonic power player here that they have to beg our fucking adversary for help to apply pressure to a middle power, a regional power that we have dominated economically for the last 5 decades.
Consequences of this war and, you know, what could happen in the future.
Gas was $4.19 on my way into work in Texas morning, $4.50 on the way home. Don't you feel patriotic, though? Don't you feel patriotic? This is a real W, a real victory. Delivery driver just left the gate open. That's crazy. I've never seen anything like it. My man did not close the door behind him.
But I thought it might be good to take a look at some of the positive things that could come out of this war way down the road. We're certainly not talking about right now. But if you figure that the Strait of Hormuz could no longer be an energy supply chokehold if they start routing oil around it. Well, that could be a net good, and that seems to be what is happening, where Saudi Arabia and the UAE are already building pipelines to get around that strait. It could be in 10 years that, there's no way for Iran to choke off a fifth of the world's energy supply. That would be a net good for the world. Also, OPEC is already starting to fray at the edges. The UAE left OPEC, or is about to leave OPEC. That could be a net good as well, because OPEC has put pressure on prices higher. Now we could see some pressure lower again down the road. And the last thing is the shift to renewables that is inevitably going to come out of this. Already, Asia and Europe have started to demand more renewables like solar and wind from China, which makes all of it, and that could be a net good as well. So it is possible that a decade from now, we look back at this moment as a shift, as a real fundamental shift in the energy supply, and it could be, intended or not, a good thing.
It requires adaptation, right?
Yeah,
it requires adaptation. When you face a crisis like this, things do change. We ended up with compact cars in the 1980s because of the oil embargoes, of the 1970s. So people do adapt and try to shift to face the consequences, but it does take time.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And ultimately, it could remove power from Iran to push things politically, but not today.
No, we're certainly not talking on a short time scale. We're talking on a very long time scale.
But it does bear watching. David Goldman, great to see you. Thank you very much.
سلام. ما هر وقت که لازم باشه از سلاح دیپلماسی استفاده برای ما رضایت دیگران در یک
Will I think Xi will embarrass? Do I think Xi will embarrass Trump like Trump embarrassed Zelensky? Fuck no. That is the most anti-Chinese diplomacy thing of all time. China would never. I mean, they'll embarrass Trump with the deal side of things, right? Because they have leverage Trump doesn't, and they'll use that leverage to get a good deal. But they would never in a million years engage in this like aesthetic posturing, with one exception. From what I understand, even since like the Mao Zedong era, PRC has always been late to announcing whether or not they will actually have the leader of the country meet with any foreign envoy, regardless of their status, including but not limited to Nixon and Henry Kissinger. When Mao was supposed to meet with them, they did not actually announce when he was going to meet with them. This is like a technique that they apply specifically to keep them on the back foot and to make them feel more grateful. To make them feel more grateful that they have even engaged in any real direct conversations. So if you notice, like, Beijing did not reveal that Xi Jinping was going to meet with Donald Trump until yesterday or like earlier today. They do that on purpose.
روندهای دیپلماتیک شرکت میکنه.
Day 73 of the war has seen another standoff between the United States and Iran. President Trump and the Americans presented their 14-point proposals via Pakistan to Iran. Galibaf, who seems to be in charge of the negotiating process, replied to the American proposals yesterday, and last night President Trump said that the reply was totally unacceptable. So here we are, the war is in abeyance now, but it is still on. It's still a war, and that's bad for everybody in the world economy. The only winners from this war remain Russia and Israel. Russia because it's able to sell its oil, sanctioned oil, above the old price, and Israel because it's able to carry on its war in Lebanon to try to completely demolish Hezbollah, and Hezbollah is trying to prevent it from taking its territory in southern Lebanon. And overnight there were quite big strikes on Nabatir and Saksaktir, which are significant in terms of Israel's intentions with the rest of Lebanon. But of course, most of the attention, as always, is on the Strait of Hormuz. And here there's some quite interesting things been happening in the last 24 to 36 hours. One thing about the Strait of Hormuz that we must realize is the situation that Qatar is in. Most of Qatar's energy is created by liquefied natural gas. They need that for their economy. They need to export that. But LNG can't flow through pipes. It has to go by tanker. And those tankers can only get away from Qatar by going through the Strait of Hormuz. They have no other way out. And this war has been a disaster for Qatar in economic terms so far because of the complete blockage on LNG exports. But yesterday, at least one tanker with its transponders turned on and off, the Kazatiat, seems to have transited the Strait of Hormuz and today has been picked up on its way to the port of Kazm in Pakistan, where their LNG terminal is. So it's clear that the Qataris, the Iranians and the Pakistanis have agreed to get this tanker out so that LNG can go to Pakistan, which really needs it because of all the economies of Asia that are suffering from this war. The Pakistani economy is suffering most. And that's not the only one. There's another tanker called the Mizim. And the Mizim, at the time of recording, seems to have been about here. And so the Mizim looks as if it's also on course to get out. And there are reports of 2 others. So the indications are that 4 LNG tankers are on their way from Qatar to Pakistan to relieve the pressure on Qatar, but also to relieve the energy crisis in Pakistan. Now, one of the reasons why that is important is because of the role played by this man, General Munir. General Munir, who has a questionable political record, but is nevertheless a very effective operator in terms of international diplomacy. Munir is somebody that Trump likes. He understands them. And Munir has been talking very meaningfully to the IRGC, to the Revolutionary Guard Corps, because they understand him, they trust him. And this man is able to speak to both sides rather effectively. And so it is evident that these LNG tankers that are going out of the Gulf to Pakistan are partly a reward for the role that Pakistan and Munir has played in the mediation leading up at least to this point. And that raises something else which is interesting, because if it works for Pakistan, it will work for other countries as well. And the idea of side deals, countries doing a deal with Iran to get their stuff out of the Gulf, is probably quite attractive to them. Now, all of that adds to the legitimacy of what the Iranians are doing in the Gulf. What the Iranians are doing in the Strait of Hormuz and across the Gulf is completely illegal. But the more side deals that they do, the more legal it may come to seem. And there's a big tendency there for them to try to develop more and more side deals exactly for that purpose, which is a big problem for President Trump.
Yeah.
Because
every bilateral deal that Iran commits to legitimizes its control over the Strait of Hormuz. It's true. No, I mean, technically what he's saying is not incorrect. Obviously, it's still illegal for America to also blockade the Strait of Hormuz on top of the Iranian blockade. And not only that, but it was also illegal for America to strike. It was illegal for the United States of America to strike to strike Iran. Also in the process of diplomacy alongside Israel and, blow up a little schoolgirl, little girls' school, sorry. That was also illegal, but obviously they're never going to cover it like that in Western media.
It's due on Wednesday to go to Beijing for this long-awaited summit with Xi Jinping. The summit's already been delayed once, and Trump clearly wanted to go to the summit originally with the war behind him and a victory to celebrate, to talk about. Well, he's not going to do that. He will go to Beijing on Wednesday with this war hanging around his neck like a limpet. And the problem is...
Genuine stupid question. Why is it illegal for the U.S. to blockade the Strait but not Iran? No, it's technically impeding on free flow commerce on international waters is illegal for everybody. I didn't say Iran has a legal right to do this. I'm saying that Iran is using the terrain, the advantage that it has in this situation to create leverage so that they can they can have some kind of leverage over the United States of America to stop them from fucking bombing Iran and to get sanctions relief. Now, between the United States and Iran, who has more legitimacy to enforce a blockade on their own territorial waters? Of course, is Iran. Technically, the Strait of Hormuz, given how tiny it is well within Omani and Iranian territorial waters. So with respect to that, I guess like they can, maybe say something I mean, I don't know. I'm not well read enough on my seafaring rules, okay? I'm simply saying that Iran is using this as leverage because it's been fucking hit. And also, international law in this respect doesn't really matter. Big ass pirate? No, I'd go so far as to say I'm a more real pirate than you because a real pirate doesn't care about fucking international maritime laws. I'm a real pirate and not a fake pirate like you. DNC spokesperson Hasanabi Piker says he's an international pirate, admits lack of maritime law knowledge.
If he wants to strong arm his way into Xi Jinping.
All right, let's finally get to the extended interview. This time, oh my God. Normally, 60 Minutes will claim that they're doing 60 Minutes with a person that they're interviewing, but they rarely ever give them the full 60. It turns out when you're the real president of the United States of America, Benjamin Netanyahu, you don't even just get 60 minutes. You get 78 minutes and 48 seconds. Unbelievable.
60 Minutes overtime.
Mr. Prime Minister, good to see you.
Good to be with you.
Is the war with Iran over? And if it isn't, who will decide when it is?
I think it accomplished a great deal, but it's not over because there's still nuclear material, enriched uranium that has to be taken out of Iran. There's still...
I want to issue a trigger warning here. You are about to watch unlimited ass kissing, dick sucking, calluses in the hands, calluses in the back of the throat. This is smut.
Enrichment sites that have to be dismantled. There's still proxies that Iran supports. There are ballistic missiles that they still want to produce. Now, we've degraded a lot of it, but all of that is still there, and there's work to be done. President Trump...
This war cannot end until all those things are eliminated.
Well, certainly we want to get the nuclear material out. We certainly want to get the enrichment sites dismantled. We've curbed a lot. We've degraded a lot of their missile production sites, but the agreement should cover all these areas, including the proxies. Can it end with, as President Trump has led now, a blockade and economic pressure on them to do it with non-military means? Fine. If it can be accomplished, why not? But if not, both the United States and Israel,
Oh my God, he's literally saying he doesn't even like that Trump is doing the blockade because he wants Trump to just get back to bombing Iran. What a fucking freak ass bitch this guy is. The rest of the world's like, why are we even doing this at all? Like, why are we doing the double blockade? Just do a fucking ceasefire. Benjamin Netanyahu's like, well, you know, I don't really like that he's doing a blockade instead of just like bombing Iran, but whatever, fuck it.
Both agree, President Trump and I, that if necessary, we can re-engage them militarily if it's necessary.
If it's necessary. How do you envision the highly enriched uranium will be removed from Iran?
You go in and you take it out.
With what? Special forces from Israel, special forces from the United States working in tandem under international supervision? How?
Well, I'm not going to talk about military means, but what President Trump has said to me, I want to go in there. I mean, he said that publicly. He said it, and I think he's right. He's very committed to this. And I think it can be done physically. That's not...
Yeah, sure. Israeli ground troops, okay.
The problem, if you have an agreement and you go in and you take it out, why not? That's the best way.
What if there isn't an agreement? Can it be taken out by force?
Well, you're going to ask me these questions. I'm going to dodge them. So you can ask me that second time, third time, and I'll dodge it second time, third time.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not going to talk about our military possibilities, plans, or anything of the kind.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you understand that.
I do understand that. But it's of great concern to the American people and the people of Israel how long this will take. And absent an agreement, what kind of things should they prepare for?
I think the most important thing for people to understand in America and in Israel, I think they do understand it, but for in the world, in Europe, you have to understand, Iran that declares not merely death to Israel, but death to America. That's what they want to achieve. They don't not only want to kill Americans, which they have, killed and wounded them by the thousands, burned up your embassies, killed your Marines, burned your flags, tried to assassinate the President of the United States, and some of your chief officials several times, they're committed to destroy America. They say that, okay? Their commitment involved their plans over the years to build nuclear bombs and the means to deliver them to the United States.
It's pretty crazy that mainstream media will just have like a war criminal on to begin with, a genocide heir, but I guess that's expected. But it's a foreign genocide heir, a foreign war criminal, and they won't even fucking like hold his feet to the fire. Like, he's lying right now. It's like, well, there's no evidence for this. Like, you've been saying this for 35 years. Why hasn't there ever been real evidence that materialized?
They were very close to developing a nuclear bomb, okay? Very close. In fact, if we hadn't done the 2 military operations that we did, they'd have a bomb within now or within a month or two. Now, you don't want a fanatic regime like that, that hates America, that has no compunction of murdering its own citizen, murdering and wounding tens.
Yeah, who would ever want a theocratic, religious fundamentalist nut job state to have nuclear arms in that region? Yeah, look in the motherfucking mirror, man. Look in the motherfucking mirror, bitch.
Of thousands of its own citizens. You don't want them to have nuclear weapons. That's what prompted President Trump and me to go out and stop them, prevent them from having that.
And I'm just trying to get at how long is it going to take to achieve that aim?
I'm not going to give a timetable to it, but I'm going to say that's a terrifically important mission, because you don't want Iran to have ballistic missiles to reach any city in the United States with nuclear warheads, because no American would be safe. And I think President Trump understood that from the start. I know that he understood that from years of discussion with this. You know, I came to the United States in 2016, right before the elections. Because I made it a habit to meet with the candidates of both parties, either in America or here. So I go to 2016, it's right before the elections, and I meet with Hillary Clinton.
Sus.
And then I meet with Donald Trump in New York. The first thing he says.
It is really funny that for years and years, liberals were like, oh, Russia is responsible for ruining the American elections, Russiagate, when there is like direct evidence of Israeli intervention in every American election. And I mean, it's beyond AIPAC, obviously. Even during the Russiagate scandal, they uncovered a bunch of like foreign espionage facilities and people trying to like change the outcome of certain elections. And they found Israel underneath some of those rocks over and over again. But liberals, if you were to ask them, still think like, oh no, it's Russia. When in fact, there's been Israel all along.
To me, in Trump Tower, is we can't let Iran have nuclear weapons. I'm going to walk out of that terrible Iran deal. Jump forward 8 years later, there's another election. I meet President Biden and Kamala Harris in Washington, and then I go and meet Donald Trump in Mar-a-Lago. And the first thing he says to me, even before I sit down, he says, you know, Bibi, we cannot let Iran have nuclear weapons. I'm not going to let it happen. So he's infused with this mission.
What do you think changed from the first term to the second term? Because it was a phrase he spoke to you in 2016. It's action he took with your government now.
Well, I think in the first term, he believed, as did I, that we could enforce sanctions, a sanctions regime, which he did, and basically bring Iran to...
its knees, which is a phrase he used.
Yeah, well, they stopped exporting oil, and it just reduced it completely. He hoped that that would work, and it did for a while, but it didn't really stop them. I would say it slowed them down, but it didn't stop them.
I wonder why these guys say death to America, death to Israel, by the way. I wonder why the Iranians would ever say death to America or death to Israel. Very strange. I guess it's just they hate us because they ain't us, right? That's what it is, right? Or they hate our freedoms. It must be that. Or they're just anti-Semitically hating on Israel. That's what it is. I can't believe it, dude. This motherfucker's on US television just flexing. He's like, yep, I dominate your politics. Both of your parties are servile to my needs. I go and visit presidents. I go and visit candidates. They all tell me how much they want to fucking destroy Iran. And if you're confused as to why there's so much bandwidth on this Iran issue, just know that I'm doing it. It's my doing. And there's nothing you can say or do about it. What are you going to do about it, bitch? You don't have a real democratic process. He looked so bad recently. Bro, he had ass cancer. Which he, I think, is recovering from.
Back to enrichment. They went back to their full efforts on nuclear, to develop a nuclear weapon. And what changes that they were very close to achieving it. That's what prompted the action. And it amazes me, frankly. You know, when we talk about it, people ask, what is the purpose of this war? What's the point? The point is not to let a regime committed to the destruction of the United States and Israel, they call us the little Satan, they call you the big Satan. What do you do with the big Satan? You have to remove it from the world. That's their doctrine. Not to let such a regime.
It's not real, dude. It's so funny that you guys thought this is real. It's obviously not real. And Yao says Israel lost a public relations war because of foreign government sending fake text messages. Americans pretending to be red-blooded Texans. This is quite literally one of Israel's own influence tactics, as I reported in February. Yeah. Since November, America's been receiving texts from Friends for Peace and Partners in Peace. Only these peace orgs do not appear to exist. Some people see this as a political or border dispute, while others view it as Israel defending civilians from Hamas. How do you see it? Just joined it. You're playing AI. I thought you didn't like AI. Good one.
Nuclear weapons, because it's very different. If, I don't know, let me pick a country. If Holland has nuclear weapons, it's not the same as the Ayatollah
What is this?
regime.
SCOTUS is twerking on the Dems. Breaking news. U.S. Supreme Court vacates Alabama District Court order requiring the state to draw a congressional map with 2 majority black voting districts in a 6-3 decision. Alabama can now draw a more Republican-friendly map. Incredible. They're literally openly farting on democracy. They're shitting and farting on democracy. They just straight up don't give a fuck, dude. Your voice does not matter. There is no democracy. There's no democratic process. What are you gonna fucking do about it, bitch? Nothing. Okay? Nothing. It's over. It's done. Donald Trump knows he's unpopular. The last remaining way to show how unpopular Donald Trump is voting. That's just the reality. I know that there are, other methods outside of this, but I'm just talking about like what the current situation looks like. Okay? And he knows that he will get voted out. His party will get voted out of power, and the incoming party, the incoming makeup of Congress will end up punishing him. They'll start setting up committee investigations. They won't have to do like bipartisan compromise over and over again. They can get bills out there, messaging bills attacking Trump, basically destroying whatever funding vehicle he could push for. That's what they're going to do. And Trump knows that, and he doesn't want that, so he is trying to cheat. Okay? He is trying to cheat. That's all he's doing.
Damn, this guy's good.